the only one who remembers that.
Good evening and welcome to the January 19th, 2011 meeting of the Scarborough Town Council. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Councilor Alquist.
Here.
Councilor Holbrook. Here. Councilor DeAndrea.
Here.
Councilor Rancourt.
Here.
Councilor Wood.
Here.
Council Chair Roy.
Here. Item 4 is general public comments. You've heard my speech before. Please speak to the issue, not to individuals. Your time limit is 3 minutes, and I will go like this. And please try to stay within it. I have allowed leeway here. The first 30 minutes of this meeting is dedicated to the general public comments, and then you'll have that second opportunity prior to the motion by the council to address the item. As soon as the town clerk reads the order, that'll be your second opportunity. So with that, I will open the general public comments, and if you would please stack yourself there if you choose to speak so we can expedite.
Hello, I'm Susan DeWitt Wilder of 3 Tide Mill Lane. I'm here to speak about the suggested zoning change from B1 to TVC3 at the intersection of Black Point Road and Highland Avenue, and the fact that I only learned of this change last Saturday. I'm a supporter of our local Black Point businesses. We've bought 3 computers from Mac Smith. I get my hair cut by Guy at Eau Claire, and when Eric begins selling lobsters, I'll walk down there and buy from him. This is the crux. All of these places are within easy walking distance of my house. So if there are any major changes in zoning planned for 150 feet from my house, I want to be included in a discussion about those changes. I've now read the CPIC minutes and know that the members and the town staff have discussed these changes over the last 5 months. From what I can determine, only those directly in the new zone were invited to a neighborhood meeting in October, and I've yet to speak to someone who actually attended that meeting. Property abutters and surrounding neighbors should always be issued notification and receive an invitation to a meeting of this type. The town's GPS system allows easy identification and notification of all property owners in the area of the planned changes. I ask that this first reading be set aside tonight until there is a more inclusive neighborhood meeting to discuss the ramifications of this change. I am particularly concerned about the safe traffic access onto Black Point Road, the reduced setbacks, and the new allowed uses such as a multi-unit housing and a health club. We had a health club nearby, and the neighborhood was awakened at 5 a.m. every morning by amplified music and yelling. I'm also concerned about the increased size of the zone, the building height, hours of operation, noise, and lighting. And although bike and pedestrian safety are mentioned as a priority in the memo from the CPIC consultant, I've seen no reference as to how this new zone will improve my safety as a pedestrian and a bicyclist. I and my neighbors should have an opportunity to have these concerns addressed. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Paul Austin. I'm also a resident of Tide Mill Lane. Much the same comments. On Saturday, we accidentally learned that the CPIC has recommended a significant zoning change in the Black Point neighborhood from B1 to TVC3. So there was a meeting in the fall. We discovered that abutters and homeowners across the street from the zone were unaware of the meeting and the proposed changes. There are good and bad parts of each zone description, but we have serious reservations about whether some of the provisions of the TVC3 zone are appropriate in this area. Concerns include the height and volume of buildings, expansion of the zone, setback changes, lack of special restrictions on hours of operation, lighting issues, signage, and traffic. I request that this zone change be tabled until the town can organize informational meetings so that the residents can ask questions and be involved in the process. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
My name is Scott Furr. I'm at 16 Old Colony Lane. I first want to just commend the council on the discussion that's taken place about the Higgins Beach parking regulations. I think you guys have gotten a better idea of the issues at hand, and I just want to thank you for your hard work on the issue. I've been following the issue closely and think that you've probably now heard the majority of the opinions. I believe and hope that you, in the end, you'll present an amendment that is not all that different than what what currently takes place down at the Higgins Beach neighborhood. From my many conversations with neighbors and residents of Scarborough, I'd like to reiterate the following issues that I believe most folks would be in favor of, including many of the residents of Higgins Beach. Number one, most people are not expecting you to have in-season on-street parking. Although that'd be nice, the residents are mainly concerned about restrictions on parking during the off-season. Please leave the off-season parking as is without time limits. Number two, I think that the council would most likely approve marking spots out on Bayview. This is probably wise, but I would urge you to make a sincere effort to maximize the number of spaces that will be allowed, perhaps even considering a diagonal parking layout. Number three, since there will most likely be less parking on Bayview, I would like to suggest that in the spirit of compromise, that the off-season timeframe return to the September 15th to May 1st dates that the other Scarborough beaches follow. This is the main objective of the very popular petition that has been circulating. I feel that these are the three primary issues at stake for the majority of Scarborough residents. And again, thank you for your time and attention and patience to the issue.
Thank you, Scott.
Good evening. Speaking of this.
The other one's working.
Oh, the other one's working?
Yep.
Douglas Lundier, 26 Fowler Farm Road. I would like to present the last batch of signatures for the on-street parking. All these people, they want on-street parking. They value it to their way of life, and they don't want to see it changed. The on-street parking is a very valuable thing to a lot of people, and many people feel that way. I have petition number 1,065 people have signed the petition. I wish they were all in here tonight, standing here, so you could see how many people 1,065 really is. That's a lot of people. I'd also like to reiterate some of the points of why we like the on-street parking and the problems if we take it away. The population growth of Scarborough. It's not going to get any less. There's going to be more people using the beach, not less people. We need more parking available. The parking lot is a bonus, but I don't think we should be taking away on-street parking. I think once that goes, it'll be gone for good. May make a lot of people pleased, or a small number of people pleased, but I don't think we should get rid of it. A lot of people enjoy that. And winter storms. Roads are usually plowed quickly, and therefore on-street parking permits the public to re-access the beach with a minimum of delay. If people have to park down in that parking lot during winter, I mean, realistically, if you go down there tonight or over the past week, those sidewalks are completely blocked with snow. You're going to have people walking from the parking lot all the way down to the beach. And, you know, there's a lot of fit people who will have absolutely no problem with doing that. I can't really see some elderly people and handicapped people or whoever. I know you've got 2 spots down there, but there's people who don't classify as handicapped who really can't make that 2-block walk down to the beach. I think you're going to see problems with that. The limited time periods during the off-season. If you've got nobody there to enforce it, it's going to be crazy. It's going to cause a lot of work for your police department or whoever polices that. I go down there 6 a.m. every morning to go and walk my dog. It's pitch black. I park my car right alongside the beach there, and I walk it. If somebody's going to come out and restrict my parking at that time in the morning, I don't know how you guys are going to do it. I really don't. It's going to be a problem during the off-season. During the summer season, you got everybody there. You got the guy on the bicycle. He can go up and down, give tickets, whatever. During the off-season, I think it's going to be crazy. That's about it, guys. I'll be glad when this is over. I'm sure you guys will. Can I hand in the last of the petition?
Thank you, Doug.
Good evening. Janice Parenti, Pleasant Hill Road, Scarborough. I just wanted to say a few quick words again on the Higgins Beach parking issue. I wanted to say that through this process, what an incredible experience it's been for me to see so many people come out and take the time to get up to speed on the issue, take a stand, whether it was for or against, and write letters, bravely come up to this podium and speak on behalf of what they believe in. It's a true testament to the people of Scarborough, to the surrounding towns, and also to the power that Higgins Beach has over everyone. It's also been a testament to the resiliency of the council and the town manager. You've all done a wonderful job, and I look forward to tonight's discussion and the subsequent vote. But most important, I want to say that at 10 a.m. this Sunday, Surfrider is sponsoring an off-season good energy beach cleanup at Higgins Beach, because with the privilege of coastal access comes the continued need to help preserve and protect. So come out, pick up for an hour, and help give back to this precious stretch of coastline. Because access, protection, preservation, they're all equal. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Margaret Giles. I live at 3 Schooner Road in Scarborough, and I was a property owner for 45 years on Vesper Street at Higgins Beach. Number one, I want to oppose the parking on Bayview because I think it's a very, very dangerous place to park a car. Secondly, I walk from Kelly Lane with my wagon down to Vesper Street and then to the beach. And I'm 90 years old, and I think that anybody that has the right to park in the parking lot should park there. Thank you. And thank you very much. You're doing a great job. I wouldn't want your job.
Thank you, Margaret.
Hi, I'm Regina Day, and I'm at 3 Schooner Road, too, with my family, my husband Brian, and children and I. We own 3 properties at Higgins Beach. And I also like to speak to the issue that our family is not looking to limit the public's enjoyment of Higgins Beach, that we really very strongly believe it is a safety issue primarily, that to limit the vehicular traffic on the beach is our main concern, and we're concerned that by offering the beachside parking, that will drive people and encourage people to come down and seek the free parking. Let's face it, if you have an opportunity for free parking, it's to your best interest to make a loop, or two, I think that the proposal would encourage cruising, which is not ecologically sound, and because of anybody who's again, seen the traffic on, say, Exchange Street with people trying to pull in and park in Portland, the backup that can cause, or up at the Scarborough Middle School, when people are dropping, coming and going, lots of transitions in a short, crowded space, that can be trouble. I would anticipate that with the increase in traffic, that there could be pedestrian problems, and I'm concerned about that, and I thank you for your concern and your thought on the matter.
Thank you.
Thank you, Regina.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity.
Try not to bend it too much, because that's what throws it out of kilter, and then it will die.
All right, is that all better? My name is Tom Curley. My family has been at Higgins Beach for over 100 years. I grew up there as a child and have had the privilege of living at 6 Vesper Street on the beach for the past 18 years. I've watched over the years the transition of what's happened to the community. I think of Higgins Beach not only in the old days as a beach community, but it's similar to any other development now that you see around Scarborough. I think there has to be a balance for what they would expect of their neighborhoods to what we expect of our neighborhood as residents. I think there's a trade-off having the privilege to live on the beach. I want to make it very clear, I love dogs. I have a trade-off. Quite often, I have the duty of going to my lawn, which is on the beach, and taking care of some dog duties, and that's part of the package, which I don't really regret that much. I love watching the surfers, 12 months a year. I think it's a phenomenon which is fascinating, and I enjoy it. So this is not about not enjoying the surfers. I also think when I first remember Higgins, I saw the sign when you come down Ocean Drive that said, "Welcome to Higgins Beach, no parking at any time on any street." I thought it was worthy of sending to Letterman because I thought it was rather an oxymoron. I think there was a reason those signs were put up by a former government body of this town. And I suspect that the reason was safety. And I think even back when those signs were pretty prevalent, there was a reason that it was done. I don't think it was done randomly. Then we had the big improvement down on the seawall on Bayview, and it took some of the Bayview Street away, and that's made it a fairly tight turn, and that certainly becomes a concern. I think if you look in terms of spending the money on the parking lot, I think if you look at the postings by people that are advocates of parking on the streets, they were very pleased with that. The committee, the ad hoc committee, came up with pluses and minuses over a diligent study. And I think that we've got this thing way complicated. To me, having drop-off, I think, is essential for families with lots of things. I think that having handicap parking is essential. But I think we've got to give the parking lot a chance. And I don't think, since we haven't really had it as a town function yet, that it's really very good business at this point to throw out all the safety issues of all the other measures and not take at least a year and see what can be done with the parking lot. Most of the people that pay premium taxes live in a place in Higgins Beach where they have to walk to the beach. And I think that for people that want to use it, it's not Ferry Beach and it's not Scarborough Beach. And I think having similar rules and regulations and ordinances for Higgins, the same as those, probably is not in the best interest because they're not communities. This is a community, I think, that needs a balance in terms of its ordinances. Thank you for your time.
It bites if you play with it too much.
I did something wrong. My name is David Kane. I spoke a couple weeks ago. I am a resident at 8 Newcomb Ridge, and my family has been a owner at Higgins Beach for the last 35 years. Last time I spoke briefly on the summer parking issue and at Higgins Beach, the summer parking issue, and I'd like to speak again in opposition to a proposal I think is premature and simply a safety risk. Almost everyone who has spoken on the last meeting and this meeting has opposed summer street parking. The two busiest streets at Higgins in the summer, Ocean Avenue and portions of Bayview, have pedestrian walkways on both sides of one-way car traffic. Thousands of pedestrians, mostly kids, and hundreds of cars crowd and share these streets in the summertime. At least right now, they have their own lanes. The parking proposal for Bayview eliminates a pedestrian walkway in the summertime. Having raised kids at this beach, I think this is dangerous, and I think it's a mistake. Police Chief Moulton's comments on the good safety record at Higgins, which have been used to endorse a change, I think endorse the status quo, that there's no reason to create street parking during the summer. Other people have pointed out that cars will circle the beach in search of beach spots before returning to the new lot. Maybe they'll grab a 1-hour spot and hope that a full-day spot opens up. These spots are free. The parking lot's going to cost money. People are going to parallel park in a hurry where children are walking. The only thing this reminds me of is the main mall at Christmas time. Why are we bringing this to our beachfront? Why is this necessary? I've been in Higgins for 40 years. There's never been summer parking on Bayview. The lot in the picture that somebody made reference to last time is a parking lot that no longer exists. It wasn't on the street. It's now a protected dune. The fire lane that predated the sidewalk section that someone else made reference to prevented permanent parking. In the summertime, it was policed and cars were moved along. No one parked there. Pine Point, which has been used by others for comparison, has a municipal lot at the beach. Its beachfront road prohibits summer parking. The town's management report for Higgins in 1980-1998 recommends no summer street parking. The ad hoc committee that looked at this issue specifically rejected a proposal for summer parking. I believe it's proposal number 10. But it's now become part of a current compromise by this council. Why is this necessary now when the parking lot is just opening up and there's room in the parking lot for 20 additional spots, which is enough to meet the 19 or so spots on Bayview Street?
Try to
Create-
wrap up if you could.
Creating summer street parking is simply not a legitimate compromise of any other issues. It's a safety risk, and given the entire record for this town, written record of opposing summer parking on the streets, I think it's a liability issue that the town ought to consider more seriously. Certainly, while this parking lot is being brought online, and I know the vote's the other way on this, and this is disappointing, there ought to be no rush to create, for the first time ever, street parking at the beach in the summertime on Bayview. Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Don't touch it.
My name is Lynn Palmer. I live at 124 Spurwink Road in Scarborough. The debate over parking at Higgins has become confused by the fact that statements get made as if they apply to the whole year at the beach, when each season is markedly different from the other. The parking regulations need to look at each season separately and create order based on the issues specific to those months. There is currently no parking on any street at Higgins during the busy season. I am here because I want you to preserve the ability to park on Bayview in the off-season without a time limit. We've been able to do this for years, and this is now at risk. The purchase of the parking lot is viewed as positive by people on both sides of this polar issue. However, purchase of the parking lot should not be viewed as adding parking spaces. Those spaces already existed. The town's plan for managing the lot with 62 cars actually is a reduction from how it's been managed, and in effect, there's a net decrease in available parking in close proximity to the beach. While I sympathize with the concerns of the Higgins Beach property owners for this proposed summer parking, I have to say that for the off-season, the regulations are the way they are now. They chose to buy property knowing that Higgins is a public access beach, and they chose to buy property knowing that that parking was available on Bayview in the off-season. They chose it. I live exactly 1 mile from the ramp at Higgins Beach down to the sand, and I pay higher taxes for that proximity too. My family uses the beach year-round, and we rely on the available parking both on-street and in the lot. We contributed to the fundraising effort to purchase the lot. However, we don't support the view that town ownership and management of the lot is a reason to eliminate off-season parking on Bayview. So in my opinion, the council should do the following: maintain the current rule for no on-street parking in the summer, designate very specific parking on Bayview during the off-season, and have no time limit for that designated parking during the off-season. Define the off-season as September 1st to May 15th, giving back 6 weeks of on-street parking in the off, non-busy season. Those 6 weeks are not in the busy season, and there are hundreds or over 1,000 signatures that support the return of those 6 weeks. Install street markings and clear signage describing the parking regulations so that people know where they can park, drop off, etc., and for how long they can do that. Define a parking pass system for residents and non-residents that provides pass-based access to the parking lot year-round, and devise a management and maintenance plan for the lot that is 100% funded by the anticipated revenue generated by that pass system. Thank you for all your hard work, and I appreciate the ability to speak.
Thank you, Lynn.
And I'm the last one.
Okay. We'll close the general comment section. Minutes. January 5th, 2011 regular meeting.
Move approval?
Second.
Second.
Are there any errors, omissions, or corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor? Thank you. Adjustments to the agenda.
I have none.
Items to be signed, treasurer's warrants, there are some, and I will sign them at some point tonight.
Order number 10-113 is a 7 PM public hearing and second reading on the proposed amendments to Chapter 405, the zoning ordinance regarding the Sixth Amendment to Contract Zone 9, New England Expedition.
Before I open the public hearing, the manager would like to make any comments on it.
This proposal is very straightforward, as has been presented to council in the past. I think it's fair to characterize it as a bit of an oversight. It could have easily been folded into the prior amendment, the Fifth Amendment. It was only upon the adoption of that it was detected that this was a bit of a technical issue. And it really doesn't do anything different and provide any additional height that isn't allowed in similar zones. So there's no special treatment, if you will. Just by way of background, the original contract zone severely limited and defined the construction standards, if you will, of this zone far in excess of some of the other zones that in town. So with that, I think there are representatives here tonight that can perhaps speak to it in better detail and answer your questions.
Rick Shanae, would you like to make some comments?
Good evening. My name is Rick Shanae. I'm an attorney with Drummond, Woodson, and McMahon, and I represent the applicants on this matter. The town manager has characterized it correctly. This is simply an amendment to allow the business directory signs that are now permitted at the project to be up to 16 feet high rather than 10 feet high, which is the current standard in the Higas Parkway zone. We've been to the planning board since we were last here. The planning board voted unanimously to send a favorable recommendation back to the council. The planning board did focus on a couple of issues. One, Mr. Chamberlain noted that he wanted to make sure that the sign, as finally located, would not be an impediment to traffic visibility. And Mr. Paul noted that the sign, we presented a design of the actual sign for the Gateway shops for informational purposes only at the planning board meeting. And Mr. Paul noted that it did not appear to be internally lit, and I assured him that the final design would, of course, be designed to meet the standards, including internal lighting. Other than that, there was one person who spoke in favor of the change. So it's pretty straightforward, and we hope the council will support the amendment. Thank you.
And with that, I'll open the public hearing on Order 10-113 regarding New England Expeditions amendment to their contract zone. Anybody wishing to speak on this item? Hearing no comments from the public, can I have a motion, please?
I'll move approval of order number 10-113.
Second.
Second, comments? Councilor Wood?
Yes. And thank the town manager for pointing out, in advertising order number 10-113, it says public hearing, second reading, and refer to planning board. Can I ask, I think Dan's here also, or maybe even through the chair, whether that's referring to the applicant needing to come back for a site plan amendment, or are we complete with the planning board's input?
On the town clerk said it was an oversight on her part.
Oh, okay.
That wording, yes, I'm
So
sorry.
it's just second reading on the proposed amendments, because we've already had the planning board input.
All right, thank you. And as I spoke at the first reading, I endorse this, embrace this, and applaud New England Expedition for coming forward and continually seeking ways to enhance their contract with the town, and certainly in the hopes of continued success. And they've always done an exceedingly good job in meeting all the requirements that we've placed before them.
Other comments from council? Hearing none, all those in favor? Thank you.
Resolution 11-01 is a resolution in support of a community development block grant application on behalf of the Scarborough Housing Alliance regarding the possible creation of new housing on town-owned property in partnership with Habitat for Humanity.
Councilor Holbrook, would you be willing to read that, please?
Resolution 11-01, Community Development Block Grant Application, Town of Scarborough. Be it resolved by the Town Council of the Town of Scarborough and the Council assembled that we support the Community Development Block Grant application, which will be submitted to the Cumberland County Community Development Program. Through this grant, the Town of Scarborough is seeking funding to conduct a process to plan and design for the creation of new housing on town-owned land on the Broad Turn Road, in partnership with the Habitat for Humanity. This planning process will include public outreach, a site inventory and analysis, and a conceptual development plan. Signed and sealed this 19th day of January 2011 on behalf of the Scarborough Town Council and the Town Manager of Scarborough, Maine.
And that's in the form of a motion. Can I have a second?
I'll second that.
Discussion or comments?
To say, Madam Chair, good luck, and look forward to us being reviewed favorably for this grant. I know the property well, and I'd be curious to see how it might move forward in meeting our affordable housing needs.
Council Hogan?
I'll just say that they have been working very hard at trying to go through this process and really looking and analyzing. There's a great need for, however you may want to term it, affordable housing or workforce housing, but we're talking the average person here. This is your average Joe. These are your policemen in the community. These are your average people that are somewhere in that family of 50,000 that we need this kind of housing here. And this is a wonderful and unique opportunity. And I'd also like to thank, if I could, Dan Bacon. He had spent some time helping us through to identify this grant. So again, very proud to see this project come forward. So.
For those of you that don't know, Council Holbrook is the council representative on the Housing Alliance Committee. And other?
Just if I'd be remiss, I'll take my manager hat off, and as a resident who lives in fairly close proximity to this property, I do want the council to note, I was a strong advocate for having public outreach being a component of this initial process. As was mentioned at the podium just this evening, we can't do enough public outreach to make sure that abutters are fully aware of the proposal and part of that process. And I certainly am encouraged by this whole process, want to be part of it, but I want to make sure my neighbors know too. So we're excited to get underway. And I'll just add, our experience has been to receive planning money is certainly very important, and it puts you in a very good position to receive construction money. And that's what we'll be looking for next round of funding. No surprise, there are some infrastructure costs. Notably, the sewer has to be extended up to this area, which is a fairly large number, which we hope to identify those costs and find ways to creatively pay for those costs.
Other comments?
No, I just think this is a great, wonderful opportunity.
Thank you. All those in favor? Thank you.
Madam
Before the-
Chair, point of order,
Okay,
a question,
sure.
a procedure. Maybe I should have spoken when we talked about adjustments of the agenda. So I'm just asking, I'd like to make a argument that we hear 10-104 before 10-103, for reasons I'd like to expound on. But is there a procedure that I can do that at this point in time?
I will allow the adjustment to the agenda. You can just make a motion that we adjust the agenda and get it seconded, and we'll vote on it.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair. Appreciate your flexibility. I'd like to make a motion that we hear and discuss order number 10-104 prior to order number 10-103.
I'll
Second.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. And the reasons why I've asked the council for this consideration is that I have a strong sense that in the discussions of 104 and 103, there'll be a substantive conversation regarding the time of the year, whether that be adjusted or anywhere in between still existing. And I just believe that it makes better sense that we get through 104 and have that discussion on time of year, and then it would fit well, I believe, to hear 103 with knowing the results of that discussion of time of year. as opposed to the other way around.
And before the order is read, I will do the same as I have done at the prior meetings. We'll take comment on both 103 and 104, and then the council will proceed with those. It just makes sense because it gets confusing. You want to make comments on both of them, and so we'll proceed in that manner.
Take a vote on the motion.
Oh, I'm sorry. All those in favor of that adjustment to the agenda, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, okay.
Order number 10-103 is, okay, do you want me to read that one first or the other one?
Doesn't matter.
Okay. I'll take order 104, second reading on the proposed amendments to Chapter 601, the Town of Scarborough Traffic Ordinance, Section 29, Parking Restrictions, subsection 2, Higgins Beach, from April 1st to October 1st of each year, subsection A. And order 10-103 is a second reading on the proposed amendments to Chapter 601, the Town of Scarborough Traffic Ordinance, Section 29, Parking Restrictions, subsection 2, Higgins Beach, from April 1st to October 1st of each year, subsection C and D.
Just ask the graphic to be put up.
Dan Bacon's going to just put a graphic up, so got it.
That should work.
That's good, Dan.
And show it all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone wishing to make comments? Again, the 3-minute time limit, I will give you the signal, just try to pay attention. To that.
Paul Rising, 15 Shipwreck Road. I'm a new face to probably almost all of you. I'm married to Priscilla, whose family has owned property at Higgins Beach, one property going back 85 years and several others over 50 years, over 60 years, excuse me. I'm speaking to the proposed creation of parking spaces along Bayview Avenue during the summer. I'm only addressing the situation as it is in the summer. I understand that the timing and urgency of considering this proposal at this time relates in part to elimination of parking along Spurwink and Acorn Lane contained in the first proposal. I realize all options for additional parking have significant drawbacks. This proposal has highlighted the choice of Bayview Avenue as being available right now. My main concern is that this puts the parking at the most congested area on the beach where most vehicular and pedestrian traffic converges. One member of the council pointed out there is on-street parking at Pine Point, but it is on streets at some distance from the beach, and there's no one major access point to such a long beach. The congestion along Bayview Avenue was noted several years ago, back then, when there was no on-street parking, when the present pattern of one-way streets was established to relieve the congestion. The current proposal would now place an obstruction to this traffic flow, offsetting the benefits that simplified pattern produced. I see the obstruction as being of two types, static and dynamic. The static type is created by the vehicles occupying the long-term and short-term spaces and the drop-off zone. This, in effect, narrows the roadway for moving traffic. The dynamic type occurs due to increased flow of vehicles coming down to check for availability of parking spaces, as well as increased frequency of double parking when the drop-off zone, now reduced in size, is fully occupied. So I oppose this proposal. However, if the council does vote to go forward with it, I hope it will be on a provisional basis while other alternatives are identified, explored, and developed to come up with a plan that does not pose the obstruction to access for most beachgoers that parking on Bayview Avenue does. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rising.
Barbara Bombaci, Higgins Beach. Others have, tonight and other nights, have been much more eloquent in their presentation of the safety issues of parking on Bayview in the summer. But I'm just asking you to maybe take a deep breath. It's my understanding that tonight you intend to make a final decision on whether or not to expand parking at Higgins Beach by allowing summer parking, among other things, on Bayview Avenue. And I'm asking you, wouldn't it make more sense to delay making that decision until after the new Sprague parking lot at Scarborough Beach has been finished and used for one season? It's close to Higgins, with the same sand and water, and with more parking, 250 spaces now, maybe 250 more later. And they also will have facilities and concession stands. By doing that, you would give yourself a chance, and also all of us, to see what impact this additional access will have on traffic, beach attendance, and parking at Higgins Beach. Delaying your decision would also give all of us a chance to see if the increased use of the parking lot would mitigate the need for additional parking on Bayview. I'm asking you to just please give it serious consideration, because once something is passed and it's law, it's very hard to undo, but it's easier to delay it and have more time to think about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara.
Hi, Ben Keller, 5 Sandy Point Lane, Scarborough. Sandy Point Road, sorry, not Sandy Point Lane. I'm a little sick, I'm a little out of it tonight, sorry. I want to thank you all for your hard work on this parking issue, the Higgins Beach parking issue. It certainly hasn't been easy, I'm sure, so I want to make sure that I extend my thanks for all of your efforts in this matter. Last meeting, I handed the council copies of a time-lapse video of the parking in December on Bayview at Higgins. Tonight, I'm going to hand you the continuation of that project. It's a much shorter time period. It's between the last meeting and this, and I ran out of discs, so I only have 3 copies. I apologize for that. But if you want more copies, I can get those to you at some point. This current time lapse continues to support the fact that there is no safety or operational issues because of on-street parking in the off-season at Higgins Beach. The 2 videos combined further support Chief Moulton's statements that to this council that there is no data or facts indicating that on-street parking in the off-season causes any safety issues. Now, this segment here is especially good because it has post-storm cleanup. And you'll see that the town vehicles have no issues whatsoever on a day when there's actually a lot of cars down there. I was down there today, actually, and there was decent surf. There were a lot of people parking, and the plows were easily going about their business. On a side note, I did, however, notice that the lot had not been plowed. It was open, but it had not been plowed. Now, while on-street parking in summer is a boon and will go a long way to supplement the lot where there's a proposed reduction in spots, it is really the off-season that concerns me, and I believe doesn't need to change on Bayview or anywhere else within the community there. So please watch this video, and I ask again, please try not to fall into the trap of just because something hasn't happened doesn't mean it won't. There's no safety or operational issues based on on-street parking in the off-season at Higgins Beach. Please leave the off-season parking at Higgins as it is now. There's no data or evidence showing a need to change it, and indeed the majority of Scarborough residents and beyond favor leaving off-season parking as is, if not expanding it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ben.
Good evening. My name is Ben Bombaci, and I'm from Bayview Avenue. Tonight I want to talk a bit more about the video surveillance along Bayview Avenue. You already have received details from Chief Moulton related to this subject. The estimate for the cost of the annual maintenance for this particular service would be $1,068, and a one-time cost of $3,000 to $5,000 for the equipment, which seems very reasonable, especially in the light of the benefits we would have. It would be a deterrent to illegal and overtime parking, especially in the drop-off areas along Bayview. It also would have valuable coverage after 5 p.m. in the summertime, when there's no policemen there. Would have a deterrent value year-round and potentially decrease the number of calls to the police about problems at the beach. Having the system also installed would encourage the use of the town parking lot. As Chief Mullen has indicated, you can't replace physical surveillance by a police officer. It's an ideal solution, but with limited resources, we know that's not going to happen. Video surveillance would be a valuable substitute for when police aren't available at the beach. Please include this in your plan, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Barbara Bellicose. I live at 28 Ashton Street, and I'm going to read a letter from Carol Todd, who lives at 57 Greenwood Avenue. Due to health problems and the weather, she could not be here tonight. Parking at Higgins is the real issue before the Town Council of Scarborough right now. In the beginning, Higgins Beach was and still is a residential and renters pedestrian community. We walk to the beach, walk to the store, walk to the inn for dinner, and now breakfast. We also walk to the community clubhouse for Wednesday breakfast and Tuesday evening concerts, which includes free parking. Many of our neighbors at Piper Shores enjoy these activities as well. We have felt very safe and secure allowing our children the freedom to walk to the beach by themselves. There was, and as of this moment, still no summer parking anywhere pedestrians are visible. Now we add a few more modes of transportation: bikes, scooters, skates, boards, wheelchairs, and some of us old young folks have our wheelchairs. She said, yes, you may see her speeding at 5 miles an hour into the beach in her wheelchair. Recently, the tenor of the beach has changed. Walking here has become precarious. Cars stop to unload or load wherever they find it convenient. Children dart out into the street to cross or get out of their car, and this I have frequently observed. Please, no parking anywhere at Higgins in the summer, except for the 2 already designated handicap spaces in the parking lot. Many times this past summer, the lot was virtually empty, trying to save money, I guess. Please designate drop-off and pick-up spots, preferably at the foot of Pearl Street. No parking in winter on any street except for designated areas. For example, Pearl to Ashton Streets. Beyond that could be designated for short-term walkers. I have observed many people with families walking this winter, even in the very cold temperatures. Please save 1 or 2 spaces for the elderly who would like a place to sit for a few minutes to view the ocean. We are happy to share the beach and all its activities with others. You are really welcome to enjoy it with us. There is, however, a finite limited area or land for use. Please remember that the town purchased the parking lot for those who do want to use the beach. Please remember this is a residential community of very narrow streets and lots of pedestrians, especially in the summer. We are unlike any of the other Scarborough beaches, so please do use that as a comparison when making your decision. Thank you. Respectfully, Carol Todd, year-round resident, 57 Greenwood Avenue. Thank you.
Thank you.
Melissa Criffio, 31 Morning Street. I have 3 brief statements to make. I'd like to offer you 2 new things to consider as you make your decision about parking along Bayview, and some new supporting documentation about the conditions on the side streets. First, I'd like to talk about Bayview in the off-season. The ad hoc committee proposed allowing time-limited parking on Bayview in the off-season while accommodating long-term parking in the parking lot. Some believe that this is tantamount to restricting access to the beach. I disagree. I noticed that this strategy, using time limits on on-street parking, is commonly used by municipalities in areas where there is predictable demand for on-street parking. For example, the streets around Hadlock Field in Portland limit parking to 1 hour, and streets around Deering High School, the University of Southern Maine, and South Portland High School all have time-limited parking. Certainly, no one believes that there is any attempt to limit access to the schools or to Hadlock Field. Rather, the time limits on parking are seen for what they are: an attempt to direct longer-term parking to the parking lots, to provide convenient access for short-term users, and to manage traffic flow. The proposal for off-season time-limited parking on Bayview is the same thing. Now I'd like to address Bayview in the summer. It appears that summer parking does not have wide support among people on either side of the issue. Residents of the beach voiced their opposition clearly at the public hearing, and the petition from those who are seeking more on-street parking asks only for parking from September 15th to May 1st, not in the summer months. There has been no outcry for public parking on the streets in the summer. Most importantly, I want to follow up on my major concern, which is what I said at the public hearing about parking on the side streets in the off-season. My concern is that when parking on Bayview is limited, parking will pop up on the side streets. The photographs I've given you tonight further illustrate the width or lack thereof of the side streets. You can clearly see there is not room for both parked cars and a fire truck on the streets. Even without the cars parked on the street, the fire truck in this picture had to back up in order to make the turn from Morning onto Greenwood. Statistics say that a fire can progress from a small flame on a couch to a fully involved house fire in a little over 3 minutes. Every second counts. There is no time for a fire truck to inch past a parked vehicle or to turn around and try a different way. I think it's vital that there be no parking on the side streets year-round. Finally, it's important to remember how we got here. Whatever the solution, it needs to provide safety to the neighborhood, to accommodate short and long-term visitors, and to ensure a reasonable quality of life for residents. And thanks for all your work.
Thank you, Melissa.
I think I have to ask for a special indulgence to speak again. I'll be very quick.
Generally, everybody who hasn't spoken should speak first, and then you can come back.
Good evening. My name's Dan Porta, and my wife and I live in have a home in Scarborough at Higgins Beach, and we own a business in Scarborough as well. I just wanted to make a general point that I don't think has been made, and about the whole issue of parking. And to me, a lot of it comes down to just the preservation of a beautiful natural resource, and I think what a lot of the residents of the neighborhood are asking for is some, consideration and respect for that, and as well as other people as well. I don't think only the people that live there are concerned about that. One of the things that, if you have a house at Higgins Beach or anywhere within 250 feet of a high water mark in any area of Scarborough or other parts of the state, you are subject to a lot of restrictions on what you can do with your own property. I bring this up, if you're in especially say at Higgins Beach, for example, you could be not only subject to the zoning regulations and the building code, but also a shoreland overlay regulation, regulations from the Department of Environmental Protection, and as well as that cover how much you could add on to a house, how big a house can be, how you can use your property. Whereas if you weren't within these overlay districts and close to such a precious natural resource, you wouldn't be subject to those kinds of restrictions. And those include whether it's the water, flood zones. You may not be permitted to have as large a lot coverage as you would if you weren't in the flood zone. You may be in a bird habitat where you may have to respect the bird habitat zone. If you're in the shoreline zone, if you have a house, doesn't matter how long you've had it, you can only add 30% onto that. So, and the list goes on and on. The reason I bring this up is just to say that people who live at the beach and they are making constant sacrifices, not only on their daily life, but on long-term investments, if you live down there, you have to make a personal contribution by the limits of what you're allowed to do with your property. So everyone has to make a little bit of a sacrifice to be down there, whether you live there or visit down there. And I would just like to say that I'm totally in favor of surfers and anyone visitors having access to the beach, but in the summer, I think it's not a good idea to be parking on Bayview. I think that the drop-off zone will be too congested, and in the winter, I would like to see some access of some limited parking. Some of the things that have been proposed to allow people to use that in the winter within a certain reasonable restrictions. But I would also like to stress that I think that, this town has bought this parking lot, and I would like to see us make use of it. And also point out that most of the parking spots at Crescent Beach are further from the beach than the parking lot at Higgins Beach, or quite a few of them are. So if you're people who are able-bodied enough to ride the waves in the middle of January, I think it's a stretch to think that you can't walk from a parking lot if that lot is full down there. That's my comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
My name is Christine Poor. I live at 59 Ocean Avenue, which is close to Route 77. When I first moved here in 1972, there were very few year-round residents living at the beach, and therefore very little traffic in the winter. With the installation of sewers for most of the residents, many homeowners winterize their homes and use their homes year-round. We, in addition, have 3 condo communities added to the beach neighborhood. Sidewalks have been added to the two-way section of Ocean Avenue, and the streets at Higgins Beach have been repaved. All of these changes have greatly improved the area. I would like to focus on the last 2 changes, the sidewalks and the paved roads, which have made the beach safer most of the year. However, in the winter, they have created a safety issue, especially once the snow arrives. I am a dog walker and walk my dog to the beach 2 times a day year-round. I cannot use the sidewalk when we have a storm like last Wednesday and again yesterday, because the sidewalk is covered with snow, forcing me to walk in the roadway. This can be a problem because of the increased traffic on the beach and the fewer and fewer number of vehicles observing the 25-mile-per-hour speed limit. If you are familiar with Ocean Ave, the section from Route 77 to about the entrance to the parking lot is a nice, smooth, straight road. In fact, I'm now calling it the Higgins Beach Speedway. More and more vehicles speed along this section of the road. The sidewalk makes it safer in the non-snow months, but in the winter, I don't feel safe walking to the beach. I am driving to the beach to walk my dog when these unsafe conditions exist, and a few other residents of the beach do the same. I would like to see off-season parking allowed on one side of Bayview during the off-season because of the safety issue. Also, as a safety issue, I don't think it is a good idea to allow parking on Bayview during the summer season. There is just too much pedestrian traffic, and the parking lot would be very accessible in the summer. One last comment. I don't believe the drop-off area is needed in the off-season, therefore providing more parking. I want to thank you for listening to this issue. I know you have a very difficult decision to make, and hopefully you will keep safety in mind when you make your final decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Hi, my name's Holly Connolly. I live at 26 Pearl Street, and as I spoke
Can you
at
speak
the-
right into that mic?
This one here. Which?
The upper one.
Oh, the top one. I'm at 26 Pearl Street. My name is Holly Connolly. I've been a resident since 1987, and I've spoken at prior meetings. I'd just like to reiterate that I think that safety on Bayview in the summer is my primary concern. It's, as a mother who's raised her daughter out there, I live on a busy corner out there, and separate and aside from the issues on Bayview, I've seen many kids almost hit right in front of my street because there's a little hill that goes to a stop sign. Most people don't stop at the stop sign, they roll through. Kids are coming down Greenwood, and people drive too fast, they don't do 25. So even aside from the congestion at the beach, I think just in our community in general, safety, kids on all the streets. I've lived in fear and been lucky that I haven't witnessed something horrific, and I think we've all been lucky that we've gone this long without a casualty out there, which gets me to my main point. We don't want to increase the chances of a child casualty out there. So I just beg you, literally, as a mother, to be very mindful of keeping the side of the road at Bayview, but for some handicap spots, because I've had knee surgery. Many people can't walk from the parking lot to the beach. But in terms of adding 19 or 20 spaces for the general population, I would literally use the word beg. I would beg you not to approve that in the summer. And it's really the safety of the children. And it's not just children, there's all sorts of ages and activity. But my primary concern are the kids on the skateboards is a big thing on Bayview. And the people roller skate out there. And I roller skate and I ditch off to the side of the road. You're not going to ditch off to the side if you're ditching into a parked car. You're going to be between the travel lane and the parked car. So safety is my issue about summer. I do see the logic in off-season parking, and it's not so congested out there. Would I want people parking till 2 in the morning against my property? No, that's personal. I'll be honest, it isn't what I'd want, but it isn't nearly congested the same way in the winter. But I appreciate your time, and it's been a divisive issue for everybody out here, and I just hope after the vote's had, people can be friends again. Thank you.
Thank you, Holly. Good evening. My name is Nancy Welling. I'm a resident of Acorn Lane and have lived there for over 13 years. Thank you for hearing us tonight. Sorry. Thank you for hearing us tonight, and I will be brief. One of my reasons for being here is, in fact, as the woman spoke before me, is safety. Acorn Lane, with the parking that has occurred over the last few years, has exponentially become unsafe in terms of having the ability for emergency vehicles to travel down our street when parking is on even one side if they're not right up close. The second is we're putting in a parking lot down at the beach, and it seems to me if we residents are paying for that parking lot, we don't want to allow free parking on Acorn Lane. It kind of defeats the purpose, taking money out of the town's pockets, if you will. And finally, from a resident standpoint of Acorn Lane, we are moving and have loved our time here, but one of the questions we got really amazed me, and that was a real estate broker who, one of the people we interviewed to list the property, saying, wow, Acorn Lane, great area, big problem. Until that's resolved, you're going to have financial impact on your property and the sale price. So for lots of different reasons, I encourage you to maintain the consistency of the parking regulations and include Acorn Lane in that group. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, the good news is I'm the tail of the dog.
Oh, no, there's always other tales to tell.
My only additional comment is with respect to the
Could you
off-season.
state your name again,
I'm
please?
sorry, David Kane. I
Thank
live
you.
at 8 Newcomb Ridge.
Thank you.
I spoke passionately on the summer parking issue. On the off-season parking issue, in contrast, this is an access issue. It's subject to compromise. The residents should have access. There's no question about that. I'm a supporter of the surfing community. They should have access. Something should be worked out, and if it doesn't work perfectly, it can be altered and changed. The summer issue is a safety issue. It's purely a safety issue, the parking on Bayview. It's not something you go try and see how it works, because it's a risk issue, not an access issue. So I just hope that in your deliberations and how you structure your vote, you would make a difference between the access issues and the compromise issues of the off-season versus the serious safety issues of the summer. Thank you again.
Thank you, Dave. See, there's another tale.
What'd you call me? Hi, Rick Griffin, Ridgeway Road and 46 Bayview Ave. I'd like to I'll be very brief this time. Want to thank you all again for reading my emails, responding. And just want to remind you, you heard a lot of compelling arguments both tonight and 2 weeks ago when quite a few people from the community were here. The room was much more filled. People drove from Canada, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, all over the place to voice their concerns with these proposals. I know you heard it. There have been a lot of discussion about access. There is definitely access with the parking lot. The parking lot is expandable. We haven't talked about that much. Drew made a good point a couple weeks ago. They'll, eliminate the bathhouse or reduce the size. There are a lot of other options besides putting parking on Bayview and causing a lot of the issues that we've heard and are all considering overwhelmingly not the right thing to do. So thank you again for your time, but really take all the feedback you got into consideration and do not put this forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
Hi, my name is Kaylee Day. I am a property owner at 17 Kelly Lane. My biggest concern is I just want to keep the beach safe for everybody. Higgins, we have a different way of life down there. I'm 17, I got my license last year, and I have never once driven more than 25 miles per hour down the street just because that's the way of life. I would never do that, and I respect the beach, and that's one of my big worries is that some people might not. I bring the kids I babysit to the beach, and I just want to keep it safe for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Dale has been told. Could I have a motion from the council, please?
Move approval, Madam Chair, of order number 10-104.
Second.
Council Wood.
Yes, I'd like to make a amendment to order number 10-104, and that amendment would read, A, parking restrictions to Higgins Beach, and B, 2I, I guess you read it as, do you not? II? 1 hour parking shall be allowed in designated parking spaces on the ocean side only of Bayview Avenue from the end of the drop-off zone to the south side of the property line of Lot 125 from the period April 1st to October 1st of each year only. Correction, from October 1st to April 1st only.
Is there a second to that motion for purposes of
Second.
discussion? Discussion. Council Wood.
Thank you. This really is just another way of illustrating my position that I've had right along. I think parking on Bayview during the summer is problematic for all the reasons that you've heard over the last several meetings. I don't want to, we could be here a long time tonight, and it's all good time spent, but I just firmly believe that adding parking to Bayview during what we've called the summertime, or the on-season, if you will, just invites additional challenges to that very dense area that I don't wish to entertain. I think that the prospect of the purchase of the lot and future discussion about its management, I believe will afford the public, certainly the neighborhood and those that visit the neighborhood, ample opportunity to enjoy the access that they enjoy today, but maybe not just quite as close to the beaches as some would like. I certainly enjoy parking as close as I can to the front door of my neighborhood grocery store, but sometimes I just have to accept the fact I'm going to have to walk. And I think in the summertime, with the additional attraction of this beach, folks have spoken, even tonight, even who oppose my position, have said that over the years, this beach has become more and more popular. Homes have been transitioning from seasonal to year-round use, and the demand for this neighborhood, not only folks that live there year-round, but the folks that visit it, is such that I think parking on Bayview is not prudent, and I oppose that direction.
For purposes of clarity, could you state your amendment again?
Sure. I'd like to amend the order number 10-104 under BII to read, 1 hour parking shall be allowed in designated parking spaces on the ocean side of Bayview Avenue from the end of the drop-off zone to south side of the property line of Lot 125. And that would be allowed during the period of the year from October 2nd to
That's what I understand.
March 31st. And that area that I'm illustrating, it from left to right, is, starts at the purple, and it goes to the last blue space.
I beg your pardon, I must be missing something. Is that not what's in front of the council already? I don't see an amendment.
I thought that was what's in front of us, right here, Mark.
What's in front of,
You need to take the one that is marked agenda at the top.
This is the
And not
language
amendment.
that's currently,
That's the amendment.
oh, I
That's
see,
an
oh, I'm
amendment.
sorry, okay.
So
So,
that's currently
I
how it
think what you're
exists.
saying is what's already there.
so what we have in front of us right now, without need for amendment,
correct.
is 1 hour parking shall be allowed in designated parking spaces, Oceanside only at Bayview Avenue, from the end of the drop-off zone to the property line of Lot 125, which is the end, am I correct in describing it to the end of that blue space?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, what you currently have, what we currently have is the allowance of that only during the off-season.
Okay, thank you.
So
Thank you.
you want to withdraw that amendment motion?
I'll withdraw that amendment and prepare to
Second.
make a more appropriate amendment.
Is that in agreement with that?
Okay. Sorry about the confusion.
And before you start, I was remiss in reading a letter from Rodney Lawton from the Breakers, and I apologize to him for not reading it, but certainly he's opposed to in-season parking.
Okay, I'd like to make an amendment on order number 10-104. Now, presently, we have before us, after first reading, III, under 2I, it allows for parking year-round, shall be allowed in designated parking spaces on Ocean side of Bayview Avenue, from the north side of the property line of Lot 125 to Vesper Street. On all other areas of Bayview Avenue, there shall be no parking at any time. That's what's presently been passed at first reading. I'd like to make an amendment to strike 2BIII and remove it.
So, 3 ayes, you want to strike the whole thing?
Yes.
Okay.
And if I could, just graphically, if I understand correctly, that would eliminate the gold-colored spaces.
Yeah,
Is that everyone's understanding? I believe so.
Is there a second? Second.
Is there a second on that?
Second.
Discussion.
Okay. Now, what period of time, we're talking about a period of time that still exists here in our discussion from April 1st to October 1st of each year? Or this would be exempt of that? And that's a question through the chair to the town manager.
Could you restate your
This
question, please?
is parking year-round, so this is independent of any kind of time period that we're talking about year-round. Okay, these spaces that are colored orange represent on-street parking on Bayview with no time limit. And I'd like to begin our discussion with removing that from our consideration. Again, it speaks to my issue with parking on Bayview in the summer, but it also goes further than that. This is a year-round problematic issue, I believe, with allowing year-round parking on Bayview. If I could begin by looking at Morning Street to Vesper Street, that street is 24 feet wide on the left side if you go left to right, and it moves towards being 20 feet wide, thank you, as you move to the right. Bill Bray's memo actually supports, whether it was written with the intention of supporting my motion, well, it wasn't certainly, but it does support my motion, I believe, because Bill Bray speaks in his first bullet that a proposed travelway width of 16 feet or more is suitable for a one-way. Travel lane width of 11 feet plus an offset of 2 feet is generally regarded as an acceptable travel lane dimension. So if we consider 11 feet plus 2 feet for an offset, we're not left with enough room to afford two-way traffic and parking, certainly between Morning Street and Vesper Street. And I believe that that would not be in the best interest of the neighborhood or public safety.
And can you show Morning Street and Vesper Street again?
Okay, Morning Street is here. And Vesper Street is here.
Thank you.
And
Now,
this is-
although those 4 additional spaces are also part of my amendment to remove for parking opportunity, I believe also, if we incorporate Bill Bray's memo, we're going to lose likely at least one of those spaces to afford ourselves enough of the
And
site
we'd lose
distance.
one here, and perhaps one here, because any parking next to an intersection has to be 25 feet.
So we're left really with my justification for removing Morning Street and Vesper Street, in addition to what will likely end up being 3 additional spaces that are colored orange on the part of Bayview between Ashton and Morning Street.
So,
Counselor Alquist.
so Councilor Wood, if we go with your thread there a little bit, that would leave 3 orange, as you call them, spaces left, right, on Bayview.
Yeah, it would leave, yeah,
No,
probably.
his motion is to get rid of them all.
All the orange ones, so.
Yes.
I'll get rid of all the orange ones. And are you talking about making those 3 that are left, would you consider putting those into 1-hour parking to make it consistent with the?
If somebody was to offer another amendment later on, I might certainly.
Just to
consider
make
that.
it consistent, and
Yes.
I'm all for the 1-hour parking, so, okay.
Counselor DeAndrea.
Sure, I don't support this. And if you go further down into Bill Bray's recommendations, he does say, and this is directly following what he was talking about between Morning and Vesper, having worked for the town of York, where similar conditions with narrow travel lanes and conflicts with on-street parking and pedestrians circulating to and from the beach were an everyday occurrence along Long Beach Avenue, Long Beach Avenue, and the streets near York Beach. Truthfully, folks made it work and worked generally very safely. My experience suggests that traffic moving slowly in an area with a high volume of foot traffic is actually a very desirable condition. This is coming from a traffic safety person. It's desirable, so.
Excuse me, we have given the public ample opportunity to make comment. We would ask that you would hold your laughter, applause, or those kinds of things. That's just, we're asking for that courtesy. We're courteous and listened to you, and we expect the same. So let's keep it on that level so that we don't get confused, and, you know, it takes us longer to come to some agreement.
So.
Thank you.
So if I could, just to finish, and we certainly have heard from both Chiefs Moulton and Thurlow to say that they did not see any particular safety issues around this parking.
Counselor
I
Holbrook.
think Mike had his
Well,
finger up more.
He's had two turns already.
I just had a discussion point, if you will, on that. What if, I'm gonna play the what if game.
Here we go.
Okay.
Here we go.
If the concern is that there's two-way traffic, what if that one specific stretch was one-way to Vespa, where Bayview continued one-way down between Morning and came up Vesper instead?
This section here.
Yes.
Counselor Wood.
I don't know if that's really a question. I'm certainly not a traffic engineer, and I appreciate Council Holbrook keeping an open mind to exploring this further. But I think as difficult as our charge is tonight, I think it would be exceedingly difficult if we were to look further into trying to redesign the flow of the streets down there. I know that I've been told that the reason why previous council worked so hard to create that flow of traffic, one of the reasons why between Morning and Vesper offers two-way opportunity is to provide ingress and egress to that side of the neighborhood out to Ocean and then onto 77. To the point Councilor DeAndrea makes, I certainly have a lot of respect for Bill Bray. I've worked with him by being on various town committees for well over a decade, and his guidance and advice has always been sound. The bullet that is talked about by Councilor DeAndrea regarding on-street parking and pedestrians in circulation, it does have a calming effect, believe it or not. When you add vehicles in a parked scenario, it does tend to slow traffic down. It's just by the very nature of its presence. However, what I'd like to refer to is something that really isn't related to that well-known and accepted belief. I'm talking about the engineering that goes into a width of travel lane and whether it is suitable for two-way traffic and parking. And Bill Bray himself says that it's generally accepted that you need a travel lane width of 11 feet plus an offset dimension of 2 feet. And my math tells me there's not enough left between Morning Street and Vesper to afford two-way traffic and parking at the same time. So I'm just trying to apply just Bill Bray's own well-accepted and highly regarded engineering model to the issue we have before us tonight.
If I could just weigh in for a moment on it. Certainly, I'm in favor of parking on Bayview year-round. And I've listened to pros and cons, and I know tonight the majority of folks here are against that. However, when I've counted out my contacts, it's been pretty even. I'll give you some of my reasonings. One of the issues that I've heard and over is safety, 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 safety. I would refer anybody to our traffic ordinance, section 25, on pedestrian rights and duties. It very clearly says that pedestrians, it says any pedestrian crossing a roadway at a point where a pedestrian tunnel or overhead, or a pedestrian crossing has provided, shall yield the right-of-way to all vehicles upon the roadway. Pedestrians are to use the crosswalks. So the whole thing, nowhere does it says that I can skateboard, bike, and do any of those things that are happening in the roadway. I don't see it in here. Glennis is shaking her head yes. But anyway, I look at that. I look at Bill Bray's comments relative to the traffic calming that happens. I also am trying to meet the needs of not only the people who live in the area, but those folks who visit the area. And I use 2 or 3 examples. One would be, I have a dog and I go to work at 8 o'clock, but I get up at 6. Dogs are allowed on the beach 6 to 9, 5 to sunset. And I want to go down and I just want to walk my dog, and then I go home and I get ready for work and I go to work. I don't just want to walk my dog in the wintertime or in the off-season. I want to walk my dog in the summer, too. So what about that person? What about the older couple who have mobility issues, and they loved the beach when they were young, and they just want to go sit there for 35, 40 minutes and look at the ocean and look at the people enjoying the beach? They want to do that in the summertime as well as the wintertime or the off-season. Or I work at a local business and I want to go sit there and have my lunch and look at the beach. I want to do that in the summertime as well as the wintertime. So those are my reasonings. I'm trying to balance the quality of life for all involved. I think Bill Bray has been very, very clear on, the safety issues of the slowing of the traffic, so that works for me. And also, by one of the suggestions that I might have as an amendment would be to put the limited parking in the wintertime as well, or in the off-season as well, because the blue spots, in my mind, are intended for those kinds of folks, the folks that want to walk the dog, eat their lunch, or just look at the ocean. For anything else, and that would include surfing, that takes longer than an hour, the parking lot has to be available. When we look at what Bill Bray has proposed out and the 25 feet from intersections, if you take off those 2 spots there, you're down to 20 spots. Currently, what happens in the off-season is people park all the way down there and all the way up here. That's what's happening now. There is no order to it. There is no lines marked. This would be marked, designated spots. and I think more orderly. As an adjunct to it, I've discussed with the manager using, and I think Mr. Bombachi's suggestion is absolutely wonderful, and Ben Keller's doing the webcams, is doing that, just that, is putting the webcam so that we can monitor it, year-round. And it would give the police a heads up when there's issues or concerns. So those are basically my reasons why, I see that it may be able to work. It's not gonna be written in stone. I would also ask somewhere else down the line is that we make it absolute intent and reflected in the minutes that this be reviewed as of December 2011, whatever it ends up as. Because I think that's really important. So those are my reasons. Councilor Raincourt.
I could not support your amendment, Mike, getting rid of all of those spots, because of the 4 to the left. You're getting rid of those as well. And we went through this, it seems like deja vu. We went through this at Pine Point as well, talking about travel lanes and the 11 feet. We made our travel lanes down there, north and south, so to speak, 11 feet wide, and put the sidewalks in the bike lanes. And we had a lot of comment about that, and traffic engineers told us that actually having the narrower lanes, less pavement, actually makes traffic slower. So to get rid of those 4, because your amendment, I'm not sure about, I have questions. You make some good points about the other section, but I could not include those 4 goal spots at all, because that certainly is wide enough to meet an 11-foot one-way. It's way more than 11 feet. So there's no question there. In terms of the other section between morning and, I think you said Vesper?
Morning and Vesper, yeah.
I know that is more questionable because of the size, but I would certainly be willing to have a 1-year trial of that, and I certainly support revisiting this at the end of the year. I think when we actually have some hard facts, it will make my decision much clearer in next December. So I would like to at least try it, so I'm going to vote against your amendment.
I think one of the other things, too, I would speak to is the drop-off area. There was some question about maybe making those parking spaces in the off-season. But one of the things that the Public Works Director is working on is a bike board rack, which then would encourage the surfing community to go to the drop-off. They could drop off their board in a proper rack and then proceed on to the parking lot. The numbers of spaces that are there are very limited. I certainly want to encourage use of the lot. I mean, that's, but I don't think that the lot meets all of the needs. And that's my concern, is that it doesn't really meet all of the needs. And this is a limited, it's pretty limited. I can understand some concerns of the residents that are along there, but there are residents that live along this section that have no objection. So I can't support your amendment.
I'd like to withdraw my amendment and make another amendment, Madam Chair.
Okay.
If at first you don't succeed, try again.
Okay, keep going, Mike.
Keep rolling.
Okay, I'd like to make an amendment that no parking be allowed between Morning Street and Vesper Street on Bayview due to the width issues and the two-way traffic, and that the remaining spaces on Bayview be all 1-hour parking maximum.
Is there a second?
Second.
I think that meets a little bit towards the direction we might find some middle road. I still believe that Morning Street and Vesper Street between Morning Street and Vesper Street parking on Bayview is problematic with the two-way traffic for reasons that I heard at least Councilor Rancourt support. And I think that the confusion that can result in parking on Bayview to the degree that is shown there for 1 hour and then transitioning to no time limit, I think is better served by being all 1 hour parking.
On a year-round basis?
That would be year-round basis.
I guess one of the issues on the year-round basis, and I'm in favor of the year-round basis, is the enforcement issue in the wintertime. But again, the adjunct of the video cam, I think will do a lot to give us data collection and surveillance. It would be a signal to the police department who's monitoring it. Things are looking a little congested down there, let's send a cruiser down. It would save a lot of calls. And so, that, I think those adjunct kinds of things may be helpful to it. I might be able to support that. I'd like further discussion, however. Councilor DeAndrea.
Sure. I don't know. I don't think I can support that amendment. I am really struggling with the year-round thing. I definitely don't support year-round restrictions on parking. I don't think that the year-round would be a problem at all between morning and vesper. Again, I'm also reading Bill Bray's recommendations, and he doesn't seem to see a problem with it. And again, also, I'm going to go back to Chief Moulton and Chief Thurlow, who both see no problems with winter parking on any street. So I certainly don't support year-round. I could potentially support the summer parking being just those up to Morning Street. That may make some sense there. And perhaps I could support the summer 1 hour parking, but certainly not winter. I just don't think it makes any sense for the winter.
To time limit, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, to time limit, or I certainly think that there could be more parking between, and I'm talking off-season specifically. Off-season, I think there should be parking all the way up to Vesper, because I don't think that there's a problem in the winter at all. There's just not enough traffic down there to warrant it. In the summer, I can see where there would be more traffic at that two-way between morning and Vesper, but not in the winter.
So in the summer, again, help me out here, so you support no parking between morning and vesper, and you'd support 1 hour parking for the rest of that?
For the summer.
And
But not- I think that-
anything goes in the winter?
Well, not anything goes, but I think, although that could be fun.
So you're supporting parking here in the summer?
Correct.
And
I think
then
I can support that for the summer, and I think I can support that for 1 hour for the summer.
And the 1 hour being all the way to Vesper?
Correct.
Stop right there.
Oh.
No, I'm sorry, to morning.
Morning.
Yep, the 1 hour to morning, because I think Counselor Rancor is right. That certainly supports that well. And I think with the increased summer traffic, that makes probably more sense. But in the winter, I do not see any reason for the full length all the way to Vesper because of the decrease in traffic. And so I think that would work well for the summer. I certainly do not support 1 hour parking in the winter. I just don't see a need for it. I just don't see a need to enforce something like that in the winter.
So basically what she's saying, Ronnie, is, oops, sorry.
Yeah.
1 hour parking to morning in the summer. Limitless parking, limited time parking all the way to Vesper in the off-season.
No limits. No.
That's what I said, limitless.
No limit.
Oh, limitless, I'm sorry, I
Yeah.
thought I heard you
Mike,
say limited.
before you say anything, would you clarify your amendment, please?
Okay, my amendment is, thank you, Madam Chair, for that. My amendment is to allow year-round parking on Bayview up to Morning Street. And that parking, as illustrated
which might be exclusive of that
It
last
may be,
yellow one.
you know, compliant with Bill Bray's recommendations
Yeah.
for the appropriate site distance separation. So keep in mind, that might represent losing one of those orange spaces on the corner of Bayview and Morning. But my amendment is request that we allow year-round Bayview Avenue parking up to Morning Street, and it be no more than 1 hour in time. This is exclusive of the handicap parking, and of course, the drop-off would always, would be an ongoing. That's the amendment that I wish to discuss a little bit further.
And can I just ask a further question to clarify?
Please.
And no other areas on Bayview would parking be allowed?
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay.
And I just want to add just a couple, we already have a second, right, Madam Chair?
We
So-
already have a second,
Okay.
yes.
So
I gotta
I just,
withdraw again, are you?
I just want to ask my colleagues to kind of sit back a little bit. I know that we have some very, what's that?
Nothing.
We have some very opposite views on this, and I respect that, and that's what makes the world go round, so it's all good. But I know that every one of you know that I've been very much opposed to Bayview parking in the summer. My amendment proposes Bayview parking in the summer, and I watched the tape of the last meeting, and you all folks were here, listening to it live. There were some very eloquently stated reasons why Bayview parking in the summer was problematic. But I can count the votes. I don't have the votes tonight. I wish I did, but you can't win them all. So what I'm suggesting is that we find some semblance of meeting halfway. And I think allowing Bayview parking year-round up to Morning Street, 1 hour limitation, is an illustration of a compromise from both sides of the argument that I've heard from the council perspective. And I just ask that we just carefully consider that and have a discussion and find our way
Counselor
to
Rankin.
some agreement.
Yeah, I hear you, Mike, and a lot of what you say I can support. My big concern, however, is just what someone, in fact, the gentleman, I can't remember his name, who did the video cam. Ben. Is that the parking lot after the storm was not plowed out today. So what I'm saying is, in the winter, I don't know how frequently, at this point, that parking lot is going to be completely open to the public. And with plowing in a closed-in area, how many spaces will actually be available? Because you have to put the snow somewhere. So I might think of another amendment that's similar to yours, but which allows no time frame during the off-season. That's just one suggestion I have.
Quick response, Madam Chair?
Counselor Wood.
I believe the protocol of plowing is often that, we're going to plow the high priority list of assets, if you will. So it's not uncommon for me to hear that a street is plowed before a parking lot.
Absolutely.
I mean, so, I don't know, the gentleman, I'm sure, comes well qualified, but I'm not sure whether we're talking about a significant time difference between when a street was plowed. Alls I heard was the street was plowed and the parking lot was not, and that makes sense to me. When you have plows out there plowing streets, I would be a little bit disappointed, actually, if I saw parking lots plowed first, and I was having trouble navigating the streets. So that doesn't necessarily concern me. In fact, I would expect that the parking lot would not be plowed when folks are out there actively grooming and working on the streets. So I believe this town is going to move forward in its management plan for the parking lot, and that is going to be part of our task to plow that parking lot through the winter. So as far as the timing of one coming before the other, doesn't concern me, and I suggest that it might not concern you as well.
Counselor Rankin.
I have to throw it because it just tickles my funny bone. I happen to live next to Oak Hill School, and I will tell you that every storm, as they're plowing the roads, they plow that parking lot. So it is done in concert by our town, okay? So I'm not arguing about that. What I'm saying is, I don't know the answer, so I don't have a problem with allowing no time limit parking in the winter, because I don't think it's gonna be abused. I don't think it's gonna be used that much. If we looked at the tape from last week, the cars are coming and going very quickly. I mean, at a reasonable amount of time. So, you know, I am more than willing to support some of your amendment, but not all of it.
Yes, I'm willing to support the amendment. Small steps are good. And that's what we're here, I think we're here to compromise. I mean, I would like to see, the full length, but if I can get 10 spots there, then I've met the need of that dog walker, that elderly couple, that person that wants to sit and watch the beach for with their lunch. And again, nothing is going to be set in stone, and we can revisit it. If it works very well, we can extend it. If it doesn't work well, we can eliminate it. It's a little easier at this level of government than it is to the U.S. government, federal. So I think I could support it. I think again, it's a compromise. It comes more to the middle. It's not absolutely what I want, personally, but as a starting point, it works for me. Councilor Holbrook.
I just had a question about possibilities, because, well, I want as much as I can. So, I'm wondering about the, I know it narrows down to 20 feet at the end towards Vespa, but it's 24 feet towards Morning. What point does that narrow down to that 20? Like, is there some way to preserve 2 or 3 of those spaces?
Here?
In there, yes. That's kind of my question. Like, I could support what you're talking about if we could squeak 2 or 3 out of there.
Councilor please.
You know, you could talk about squeezing a few more out of that, but I think if you do that, I think you're gonna send a message to, that whole section is open, so I think you wanna be careful of that. I'm not sure,
You just stick a no parking sign right
yeah,
there.
put a gate up, you thinking?
Whatever works.
Well, I'm just saying, I think compromise is what we do sometimes when we don't get our way, and for me, this is a compromise, and I certainly support the drop-off. I certainly support 1 hour parking. I think that's a great idea, so I'll vote for and I'm sure we're gonna be back and talk about other sections, but I think we gotta move it forward. Good, Jude.
Okay, can we move the question then? All those in favor of the, wait a minute.
It would be helpful for me, perhaps the clerk as well, if I could just restate what I believe the motion is, so it may be of value and benefit to the council. I'm looking at the language of 10-104 that's in front of the council. As I understand, the amendment would effectively modify B to I, if you will, to read as follows. 1 hour parking shall be allowed in designated parking spaces on the ocean side only of Bayview Avenue from the end of the drop-off zone to Morning Street
Year-round.
on a year-round basis, period. With the, and then there's a portion of 3I that is maintained. It's the last sentence. On all other areas of Bayview Avenue, there shall be no parking at any time. The rest of 3I goes away.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
All those in favor of the amendment? Opposed? Fails.
Okay, I'm gonna propose an amendment.
All right.
I'm gonna keep Mike's language, except I'm going to add,
Hang on again.
the 1 hour parking from April 1st to what would be October 1st? Shall be untimed.
That's summer.
I want
No,
the,
from
I want the
October to
winters.
April.
Yeah, that's what I want. Sorry.
It's easy to do.
Yeah. I'm looking at,
Yeah, just see it back.
yeah, okay, so October 2nd to March 31st shall be untimed. But everything
That's
else-
that's already in, no, that isn't, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's already in there.
No, she's keeping the limitation to Morning Street in,
I'm keeping everything Mike said, except I'm adding the limitation back in again about
But from
1
October,
hour versus,
it's already, in the main motion, that already exists, that 1 hour parking
okay, I've gotta
shall
go,
be
because I'm
allowed in
looking
the,
at the amendment, Judy, just a minute.
and
Okay,
that,
so just keep the part to Morning Street. And from October 2nd to March 31st, 1 hour parking shall not be in effect.
yeah, that's,
And then, on all other areas of Bayview, that's, letter three I's, there shall be no parking anytime.
So there would, if I could, there would be designated spaces from the drop-off to Morning Street.
Correct.
In season, we'll say they'll be time limited to 1 hour.
Yeah.
Off-season, they're unlimited.
Correct. That's
Make
my
sense?
amendment.
We'll just reverse, or no time limit off-season.
just, the only change is no time limit off-season.
Yeah.
Parking on the blue, all the way down to morning, which may be exclusive of that last one.
Right.
Okay. Is there
That's for the
second?
designers to decide for
Is there
me.
a second?
No, I need a second.
second.
Counselor Alves.
But that keeps a drop-off spot, right?
Oh, everything stays the same,
Okay, I just want to clarify.
except parking from morning to Vesper. That goes.
Okay. So it's basically the same as Council Woods, except that the time limit is not in effect in the off-season.
Correct.
Council DeAndrea.
I'm almost there.
Almost doesn't count, except in horseshoes, hand
I'm
grenades, and nuclear
almost
war.
there. I mean, we're losing so much parking down there in the winter to begin with, because we're now not allowing any parking on the other side of the street at all. And so what limited parking we will now have on Bayview in the street will be even further limited. That's why I really think that we can easily have those additional spaces between morning and Vesper in the winter with no problem.
Councilor Wood.
I appreciate Council Rancourt finding, and making an attempt to find
Third way.
a motion that might pass tonight. I'm going to support this motion. I don't embrace untimed parking down here, because to me, it tugs at the opportunity for more people to visit the beach in those prime spaces. So you're going to hear me think I'm being contradictory, because I will support the motion, because I know that we're going to be here all night, and we're going to come out of here with something a little bit less, I believe, in my view, to what I consider ideal. And this is as close as I think this council is going to get. It's as close as I think I'm going to get. And I do put a lot of faith that when we revisit this, as the Chairman Roy has stated so often, we are going to revisit this and evaluate what these new rules and provisions, how they've resulted, and make adjustments from there. I believe that when we do revisit it, I believe this council is going to come off their position of untimed parking. I believe they're going to time the parking. So I will support this, although I got to hold my nose a little bit, but that's okay. That's life. Thank you.
Councilor Holbrook.
Can I ask, just for some clarification, because I think we've been everywhere, just the heart and core of this, you would park in the summer months from Pearl to Morning, and in the winter months, you could park the rest of the way?
No.
No.
No, It's parking,
that.
it's parking from here to here.
Okay.
In season, it's timed. Off season, not timed.
No parking nowhere else
And no parking anywhere else
on Bayview.
on Bayview. So it just takes away the time limit for the winter months, which is hard to monitor, however, could be monitored with the webcam in some ways. Counselor DeAndrea.
That was my suggestion, Counselor Holbrook, that in the winter we add additional parking because there really, again, is no real safety issues from what we've heard from all the professionals. I think that adding that parking back in the winter will make up for all this other lost parking that we're gonna have. My feeling is that we either need to do that or do away with the drop-off in the winter. But we need to add some more parking back in. And I think we could add even just a few spaces between morning and vesper at that part that would be wide enough. And add in spaces from the drop-off, and then that would balance it out more. And we could add those spaces, people aren't gonna park beyond them because they will be clearly delineated. I think that somebody raised a concern about, well, people will think that they can just go further and park, but they won't be because there'll be signage, those spaces will be delineated. And usable for the winter. There's just no problem with parking and safety in the winter that I have been able to discern from any of the professionals that have given us information about this.
One point I would make to that is, if you have the drop-off and you have a bike board rack, it promotes that those folks that are going to be surfing will proceed then to the parking lot where the amenities are to avoid some of the inappropriate behavior that has existed with a few. Then again, those few may do what they want anyway. But the purpose of the drop-off, area is so that they do have people with bikes, people with boards, have place to drop something off. So I'd hesitate agreeing to, open that up. But for right now, the motion that's on the floor, the amendment that's on the floor, is to allow parking from Pearl to Bayview, to Vesper. No, wait a minute, where am I? From Pearl to?
Morning.
To morning, with a 1 hour time limit in the summer and no time limit in the wintertime. Period. Correct?
Yep.
And I just
Counselor
want to say, I don't support that then, is that.
Richard. Okay, let's vote.
Okay, can we move the question?
Please move the question.
All those in favor of the amendment as presented?
Oh, good.
Opposed? It passed. One down. Okay,
Madam Chair,
yes,
we're back to the main motion, are we not?
certainly.
I'd like to make an amendment to the main motion.
Okay.
I'd like to introduce B, we still have 3I, do we not, Tom?
Yes.
In some part, in some way, shape?
3I, BI?
We still have that, that's still intact, is it not?
6 to 10, 6 to 10 p.m.
The last portion.
I believe the only portion is the last sentence, as far as I
But it's still intact, there's a portion of it that's still intact.
Yeah, because we want
For purposes of our discussion tonight.
Say that again. I missed what you're saying.
Right here, 3I.
Yeah,
On all other areas of Bayview Avenue, there shall be no parking at any time.
yeah,
That's
that
still
was
there.
part of my motion.
Correct.
Yeah, that's still there.
Yeah.
It's just a confirmation. I'd like to make a motion to amend 10-104 to introduce a period of time where parking would be allowed on Bayview, and that would be between sunrise and sunset.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Councilor Holbrook. The introduction of, what you just heard, the introduction that we just passed of unlimited parking on Bayview, and even the 1-hour parking. We keep going to sleep mode here. But
Yeah.
I'm sensitive to the potential that the attractiveness and the beauty that this beach affords the public, it just, potentially, we could have many visitors parking along Bayview in front of residences, et cetera, up until as late as 2 a.m., insofar as our ordinance reads townwide. And I tried to draw a comparison with, like our town parks. And our town parks don't allow visitors, or it's against the ordinance to visit a town park after sunset. And I think this is not too much different than that. Because really what's going on here, I would imagine, is you would pull up to the side of the road and park appropriately in the designated parking area, and either walk the beach or enjoy the view from your car, et cetera. But after sunset, I think that activity would be, it would be hard pressed to convince me that activity still would be prudent. And therefore, you might get activity that would be disruptive and improper. And I think a sunrise to sunset will limit the potential for that.
Can I ask a technical question?
Council Bancourt.
Where are you putting that, Mike? From,
I'm
you
into-
putting that in II, or where are you putting it?
I would defer to whoever put the details of the wordsmith.
You could put it in II.
You could put it anywhere you
Okay,
want, but it would be
alright.
under B.
Thank you.
Councilor DeAndrea?
Thank you. I don't think I can support this, and I will not support this. There are no, we do not prohibit people from being on the beach between any certain hours at night.
This doesn't do that.
If I want to go sit on the beach, but I think that Councilor Wood was comparing it to our parks. We may limit people in our parks at certain times, but we do not limit people at the beaches, on the beaches at certain times. Our street parking, our on-street parking goes from, 6 a.m. till 2 a.m.? That's the way that it is across the board, on my street, on your street, on everybody's street, where there's parking allowed. I do not think that parking is going to cause problems. If people wanted to park at the lot, they can park at the lot and walk down on the beach and cause problems. I don't think that having people park on the street will cause them to litter or loiter or have big parties. They're gonna have that anyway, whether they can park there or not. So, I might be able to entertain a later hour, but definitely not until sunset.
Madam Chair,
Councilor Holbrook?
can I just please make a clarification, because my motion's been mischaracterized? It'll be real quick. My motion did not request that folks vacate the beach. My motion is related to parking on Bayview. I understand that folks like to visit the beach after sunset and before sunrise, and my motion does not interfere with that liberty. So please, let's just stay on track here.
Councilor Holbrook and
Thank
then
you.
Councilor Rancourt.
My concern with the motion as it's put is this is very much special treatment for a very small community. I'm not opposed to the idea of having a town-wide parking restriction on any of our roads, which are public and you can park on, having an ordinance change, but not specific and for special treatment for one area of town. There's no restriction like that for the parking that we have on the road on Pine Point for those spaces. There's no restriction on, even my road. I'd love to not have hunters out setting up in their stands early in the morning, but it needs to come for a town, if it needs to change, it needs to be a town-wide change, not for a specific area.
Councilor Rancourt and then Councilor Alquist.
I agree with Councilor Holbrook's comments, and also, I have been willing, in fact, was going to make a motion to restrict the parking hours, not to that extent on the beach, because there are some people who just like to drive down to the beach and look at the moonrise. There are some people who work nights or who work days and can't go to the beach during the day, and maybe can't get there before sunset. I also just want to say anecdotally that we may have an ordinance that you're not supposed to be in our parks after sunset, but we have concerts in the park that go after sunset. And people are there after the sun has actually set. It may be twilight, but the sun has set. So I have real problems with using sunset as the time.
Counselor Alves?
What's the hours for the municipal parking lots down at Pine Point? And the new one, what are those gonna be? Oh, what are they? Does anybody know? Are those wide open? You can
No.
go there all night, or?
No. Well, they're wide open, but there are signs that discourage.
There's not a chain or anything across it?
No, and cars that sneak in before staff is there, the staff will catch up with them and make sure they.
I was thinking more the other end, Tom, you know?
Yeah, there's no barrier up, because I've gone down.
Yeah, so-
I believe it's sunrise or sunset, the use. It's supposed to vacate after sunset.
That was my question. We don't enforce it, is the answer.
My comment on it, I could not support sunrise to sunset. I did listen to the folks, and I think they have a legitimate concern that, I mean, there are, my term, dingbats out there. 10 PM, my motion would be more to favor 6 AM to 10 PM. That's a reasonable time, and beyond that, what it does for our police department is give them the authority to move them along. If you have no limit, then they have no right to move them along until 2 AM occurs. And certainly, no matter where you live in the town of Scarborough, you've all had instances where people park on the streets. I have people in my own neighborhood who park on the street year-round, all night long. They rarely get tickets, but at least it gives, the police have a time that they can deal with. And so, I too, I don't go to the beach in the summertime or the wintertime to do anything other than to go down and watch the moon come up. Because I don't like lying in the sun, I don't like hot weather that well, so I don't go down there. But I do make a trip down to Pine Point, and I go to Herd Park, and there's no gate up, and I watch the moon come up, and it's very nice, and it's certainly very pleasurable also at Higgins. I could not support the sunrise to sunset, but could support my own motion if I make it.
Well, that's encouraging. You can support your own motion.
Absolutely.
Jeez.
You gotta like yourself first, you know.
I think there ought to be some kind of limit there. I think the residents down there would expect that. We just can't leave it wide open that people can come in, and certainly that's an invitation to party all night, and certainly that won't be enforced. But where I work, and I work at a state park at a beach, we have, the limit is half an hour after sunset, which works good because we kick them out. But so saying that, I think some kind of limit, we can argue about what that's gonna be, but I think we gotta look out for the residents down there a little bit, and just I don't want that area to get the reputation that it's wide open all night long. I think it'll be bad for everybody.
Councilor DeAndrea?
Well, we have laws for, problems that happen on the beach or on the streets, or it's just a matter of a call to the police department. So I don't see any reason to make special hours on Higgins Beach. If you're gonna do that, we need to start thinking about it for Pine Point too, because I'm sure those neighbors who are parked on the streets or who live on the streets, on the 4 streets where there's parking in Pine Point, would probably like the same thing.
Councilor Wood?
Just real quick, I think this is different. I think Higgins Beach is different this way, well, really what we're talking about is Bayview. And I don't know of any other beach in town that affords such a opportunity to park so close to the view. And for that reason, I think it can potentially invite activities at hours of the night that I think any of us would view as unacceptable. Is it special? Yeah, I guess it is special, because Higgins Beach is unique, but if the same issues were illustrated to this body of any other area in town, I'm sure we'd be having the same conversation. So, that's why. But I can move forward and talk about other adjustments to that.
Other point that I would make on it, that I think, we keep hearing, why can't we do it like Pine Point? Why can't we do it like, but on the other hand, I hear the same people saying, but Higgins Beach is unique and different. And I truly believe that Higgins Beach is unique and different, and I think that setting a time limit, not sunrise to sunset, but at least some limit, is, in my estimation, the best thing we can do for the residents. It's a very tight-knit community as far as the spaces, so I think it would be helpful, and Higgins Beach is different.
So saying that, knowing we don't have the votes
Move the
to
question.
a half hour
The
after
motion-
sunset.
The amendment on the floor is to add to B2, 1 hour parking shall be allowed from sunrise to sunset in designated parking spaces, et cetera. All those in favor?
You sure that was the motion?
Yeah.
I thought it was sunrise, sunset.
Sunrise to sunset, is that what I
That's
said?
it.
Okay, good, all right.
Yeah,
I'm in
or
favor.
sunset to sunrise, whatever.
I'm in favor of that.
Sun to sun.
All opposed? Motion fails.
So I haven't said that.
I would make a motion to
I'll
amend
second it.
the major, that 1 hour parking shall be allowed from 6 a to 10 p.m. in designated parking spaces, et cetera.
I'll still second that.
Okay, it's been seconded. Discussion.
I
Counselor Alquist.
compromise is a word, and I'd like to see it a little earlier in the evening, but I'm not gonna win that, don't have the vote, so I would support this amendment.
Thank you.
I support it too. I don't know if I support it. After having listened to Counselor Colebrook's discussion for the last amendment, I think she's right. I mean, this is town property, this is parking on every street in Scarborough is the same. We set up the police department for having to specially cruise this area at 10 o'clock at night to make sure nobody's parking down there. So I don't think that I will support this.
Counselor Holbrook.
I'm just going back to my original thing. I'm not opposed to, in the proper venue, like I said, as a town-wide, 2 a.m.'s probably too late for most things on any, I don't care where you live in town. 2 a.m.'s probably a bit late for anybody to be parked in front of your house. But I think that's the venue to go through. That's where that change belongs, not specific to this area, but as a town issue.
We could look at it for a town issue once we establish it in Higgins Beach.
There you go.
Actually, I think that's something that we could bring up before ordinance committee.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Counselor
Is
White
looking
would.
at the parking times throughout the town.
I'll support the Madam's proposed amendment. It doesn't go as far as I'd like, but there's a theme here tonight, and I'm willing to participate in the spirit of compromise. And again, looking forward to reviewing this at a later date, to see how well we were on the mark or how far off we were, and to make further adjustments, so I can support the amendment.
I am not a madam, I'm a Madam Chair, please.
The gentle madam.
Okay, I would move the question on 1 hour parking being allowed from 6 a to 10 p in designated parking spaces. All those in favor? Opposed? Passes. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a amendment to order number 10-104. I'd like to discuss the whole subject matter of side street parking, and toward that end, I see that you've prepared an amendment that will likely limit my making a mistake. and I appreciate that. I'd like to move approval to amend the main motion as amended in section 29A 2B by adding the new subsection 4Is as follows. A, parking restrictions, Roman numeral 2, Higgins Beach, strike all references to dates, and then 2B will read 4Is, there shall be no parking on any of the other streets year-round unless otherwise noted herein.
Is there a second?
Second.
And what this amendment does is it does not allow any side street parking in the Higgins Beach, the definition of what we've called Higgins Beach, except for what you've just heard tonight as it relates to parking on Bayview. And I believe that this fosters and goes a long way towards adding more pedestrian-friendly environment, being sensitive to the concerns of the neighborhood, and also promotes renewed or new interest in the parking lot for options for parking.
Counselor Rancourt.
Yeah, I think, I understand the reasons for this amendment, but I want to say that I am concerned about the size, and I know this really is not totally on subject, but I am concerned about the size of the parking lot being 62 slots with expandability to perhaps another 19 or 20 on the right side, and perhaps another 8 or 10 on the left side as I'm looking at the entrance. And that actually, I believe, is less than the parking lot has been used heretofore. So, in order to gain my support of this amendment, I'm gonna ask that this also be reviewed in December for any streets that meet our 11-foot plus 2 feet one-way traffic, if we find that our parking lot is filled to capacity on a regular basis in the summer and we're having to turn people away from Higgins Beach. So I really want that on the record, that we are going to review for that as well. So we're gonna have to very careful monitoring of the parking lot as well, and its usage.
Counselor DeAndrea?
I do not support this, not year-round, no. There's no reason for this in the winter. We have heard from, again, I keep saying this, the professionals have said, both Chief Thurlow and both Chief Moulton have said there are no parking issues for the winter. There's no reason to have no parking on the streets in the winter. I cannot support this. Not in the winter. Doesn't make any sense.
Counselor Hobart.
I could support no parking on the side streets in the winter, but much like Carol, when this comes back in a year, I would like to see a full scope as far as a look at the Higgins Beach area as to where parking can be sustained with roads that are physically wide enough. I have no doubt in my mind that you could support some kind of parking on Ocean. And I know historically, we've had parking up on Greenwood, thank you. I could support the no parking on the side streets in the winter months as well. They are narrow, I can.
This
but
motion is year-round.
Year-round. I could support that. But when, like I said, when this comes back in a year, and again, I want that fully and duly noted, I want to know where parking can be supported in that area.
Counselor Elquist.
Let's go.
Clarifying question?
Mm-hmm.
If we're restricting parking on all streets year-round, does this also include the Greenwood Ave parking spaces, which are basically on the street?
No parking, any road access to Ocean Ave, correct?
I didn't hear that.
I believe the amendment says unless otherwise designated.
But we could designate the Greenwood spaces.
Well, it's arguable that they are now by virtue of striking.
Correct.
Council Wood.
Yeah, I might add to Councilor DeAndrea's concern. Greenwood, I think it could be argued effectively that the spaces you're referring to are not really on-street. I mean, we're talking about perpendicular to the street, using the street for purposes of parking. Those 14 striped spaces that exist today on Greenwood are parallel. They're perpendicular and they're beyond the width of Greenwood. They're additional pavement, so. But it is not my intent to include those spaces in my amendment.
I can support this. I think one of the issues that one of the residents spoke to was if you have the limited spaces on Bayview and they're filled, then it's going to drive them up the others. When you look at the streets, they're 20 feet wide, and I can guarantee you right now they're 16 because of the snowbank, and try to pass anything through there. And in the summertime, certainly there's the issue of mailboxes, driveways, et cetera. And again, only 20 feet, lots of pedestrians. So again, it's a safety issue, much like Bayview is a safety issue. However, I think that we've checked that a little bit by marked spaces, the fact that the traffic will slow down in those areas just because of that, and a little help from VIP services, et cetera. So I can support this motion. I move the amendment, that there be no parking on any other streets year-round unless otherwise noted herein. All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Okay.
I'd like to make an amendment. Oh, go ahead, Jessica.
Councilor Hober.
I had, give me 1 second, one amendment that I wanted to put up for this 104. I would like to amend the 1 hour parking to 2 hour parking. So section B, number 2, 1 hour.
Motion to amend the hour parking and expand it to 2 hours. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion.
I think this would be even more so important upping to the 2 hour mark, especially where we've eliminated about half of what some of the proposed parking was for Bayview. Just because, again, I'm gonna say an hour is oftentimes not long enough. Especially for your folks, I mean, there's gonna be folks like myself, I only wanna go to the beach for an hour or two in the morning. Take the kiddos down, go down for an hour, and leave. But it takes more than an hour to do that. It takes a little time to bring your stuff down, set up, leave, and come back. And I have concerns, because I've heard it repeatedly, that $10 is very much as some people may think that's a steal, that's a burden, it's a financial burden. Some people might like to have just that hour or two of enjoyment at the beach and don't want to spend the whole day down there.
I think I would want to clarify that no fee system has been established as yet. Number one. Number two, there is suggestions that perhaps that hourly charges, and there's still the question of seasonal passes as well that needs to be considered by the committee that's working on the parking lot. So, and that comment was made by a lot of the residents that spoke too. And just remember that those parameters, the minutia, has not been established for the parking lot at this point in time.
Right.
So, other comments? Councilor DeAndrea.
I can support 2 hours. I think that makes sense. We've certainly heard people at the podium saying that, you know, they're dog walkers or, like Councilor Holbrook, have children and want that extra time so they don't feel so rushed within that hour constraint. And so that they can take their time and sort of enjoy things. So I think 2 hours makes sense.
Councilor Rankin.
It would also cut down the amount of in and out. It's frequent in and out, so that might be helpful safety-wise as well.
But I think the frequency in and out is to accommodate more folks that have the need, want to sit there.
Right, I
And
mean, you
so if-
compromise one way or the other, yeah.
And if you expand it to 2 hours, then you may get some folks that are, that don't get an opportunity to just sit for that 45 minutes that perhaps they want. So I would be opposed to expanding it to 2. Council Wood?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate the amendment brought forth by Council Holbrook, but I'm hesitant to support it. And the reasons are really this, is although, yes, like, as was just said, you do compromise with additional turnover by allowing, in theory, more people to visit those prime parking spaces. I think if anything, all of us can truly appreciate how prime these parking spaces have become and are now. So I'm more leaning towards the opportunity to afford more people to enjoy parking along the lines of having lunch or spending a short period of time just with that vista. I view most folks who might walk a dog or do an activity that would go beyond an hour, I'm hoping that they'll find using the parking lot as a very attractive alternative to parking on Bayview. And besides, they'll already have half their walk done, or a percentage of it anyway, before they even get to the beach. So I'm looking towards more of folks that are truly only going to spend maybe a quick half hour, 45 minutes. And I think we've all recognized that we're certainly not going to suggest we're going to have a uniformed police officer there with a stopwatch. So an hour parking is likely, some will be 45 minutes, some 30, some an hour 15, some an hour 20. I think if we go to 2 hours, I think you're going to get on the other side of 2, and it might be even more uncomfortable. But I do appreciate the discussion.
And I think the other thing, too, is that the 1 hour promotes use of the lot. I mean, if it's only 1 hour and you know you've got something to do that's going to be more than the hour, there are some other potentials down the road. There are some meter systems. They're rather expensive. But when somebody parks in a time-limited space such as that, they go to the meter, they pay for it, they put the little ticket on their car, and, so that down the road, but it's kind of an expensive item. I think I heard a quote of 20,000 for one, or something like that. So those are things down the road when we get rich. Councilor Alquist.
Originally, I supported 2 hours, and I thought it was a good idea, but I was convinced through a discussion with other councilors that this is prime spots, and certainly being prime spots, we certainly want to get as many people as we can. And somebody just made the point, if somebody wants to be there for a while, then certainly they should look to the parking lot. But I'm convinced that 1 hour would certainly enable a lot more people to use those spaces, and I would agree with that.
Other comments? I move the question on the amendment to change the time limit, parking limit from 1 hour to 2 hours. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion fails.
I'd like to make an amendment, Madam Chair.
You may.
And I would like to amend the main motion in section 29A, Roman numeral 2, Higgins Beach, as follows, to change the dates of the seasons to May 1st through September 15th, and make that in line with the other Scarborough beaches.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
She's amending the main motion to incorporate the change in dates from April 1st to October 1st to May 1st, September 15th, as is the limit month.
You see, it's right up here.
So it's been moved and seconded.
Can I just ask clarification? I'm getting late, but it seems to me you, by previous amendment, you removed the dates. They don't apply in law.
There's no parking anytime year-round on any side street.
But there
Earlier.
is the untimed on Bayview, and that would be the season.
Yes, thank you.
So that's why we would need that.
Thank you.
So.
Is there a second?
On
I'll
changing,
second.
there was a second, yes.
Oh, there was. I think Council Holbrook seconded it.
Councilor Tiandra.
I can definitely support this. This originally came up in front of the ordinance committee, I think this time last year. And
Or
we
even
were gonna
before
hold
that.
This is what
off.
started it all.
Yep, this is what started it all, and we were gonna hold off on making a decision until all the facts were in. Well, all the facts are in. And I definitely support this. I see no reason that it shouldn't be the same period as all of our other beaches. Makes enforcement easier, and now where there's less access, at least a little bit more time for those unlimited parking spaces makes sense.
All right.
And
Other comments? Councilor Wood?
Thank you.
And Councilor,
I don't believe this has any relation to access. It does relate to opportunities to park on Bayview, and expands the unlimited time period on Bayview between, the 1 hour. It makes the 1 hour period on Bayview May 1 to September 15.
Right.
And then by consequence, it expands the unlimited time period. So by virtue of our previous action, one could argue that it actually improves opportunities for folks to use Bayview in an unlimited fashion for parking. I just want to make sure that this does not compromise, and I'm pretty positive of the answer, but I just want to ask if this does not compromise the no parking on the side streets of Higgins Beach year-round in any way, shape, or form. Okay. I can support this.
And to be honest with you, my argument in changing this was purely that I think it's easier for law enforcement, for everyone, to have one set of dates to remember. It wasn't really to expand the time on Bayview or anything else, just to make things uniform for all of us to in our memory banks as to when it's open season or on season and when it's not in season. So by having all the three beaches the same, it just, to me, makes a lot of sense. And many people testified that they were requesting that they be in unison.
the only, just concern would be, that it, in B2, II, that verbiage is in there from October 2nd to March 31st. So those dates
Would need
change.
to change.
Yes.
Should I add that to my amendment?
Yes.
Okay,
That previous
you.
amendments reflect the date change.
thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
I think the date is only relevant in that BII. It should not be qualifying the entire section as it does currently. The date restriction is specific to the designated time spaces on Bayview only. That's the only thing that's allowed, as I understand it.
Okay.
Yes.
I would move the amendment to change the dates, May 1st to September 15th, inclusive in the prior amendments as well. All those in favor?
Unanimous.
7-0. Woo! All right.
No, 6-0.
6, 6-0. Oh, I lost my agenda now. Oh, my God.
I think that's a good thing.
No, there are no others.
Well, unless that pushes back.
Are there, are there any other amendments that anyone would like to make? All right, I need a motion.
No, you already have, we just
Yeah, you have
back
the
to the
motion.
main motion.
Vote on the
Motion to approve the main motion as 104 as amended. Is there a second?
So we already
Just
have
vote.
it.
All those in
Need to
favor?
vote.
All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you.
Go back to
No, sorry, okay.
Cody's already voted.
Can we take a 10-minute break?
Yes.
How about a
Thank you.
5-minute break?
5-minute bathroom breaks?
Where does that
Sounds
leave
good.
us with,
We will be on break for 10 minutes.
okay, but where does that leave us with the problem
if people park too close, they're, see, right now, there's no, the problem is, there's no
3 feet of
demarcation
snow
of
out there.
one
Let's
side. In other words, what we're doing will allow parking on both sides of Spur
Yeah,
Lane.
a little bit.
There's no demarcation of only one side parking on Spur Lane.
Come on, Mike, we're on a schedule.
Is he ready out
Killing
there?
Isn't that, I don't believe there is.
We're ready? Yep.
On either side.
All right, we reconvened.
And we are on order number 10-103, which is the second reading on the proposed amendments to Chapter 601, the Town of Scarborough Traffic Ordinance, Section 29, Parking Restrictions, subsection 2, Higgins Beach, subsection C and D.
Okay, just for clarity, clarification, what this does is, under section 2A, it adds that Acorn Lane shall be included with the parking requirements for the majority of Higgins Beach. And it also includes C, which, Pleasant Hill Road continuing to the southerly side of Wildwood Lane, as a restriction, and CDE, a 5-minute drop-off zone year-round on the ocean side of Bayview Avenue, only outside the traffic lane beginning at Pearl and continuing approximately 90 feet north towards Ashton Street. Okay, I have a motion, please.
Move approval.
I'll second it. Discussion.
I'd like to make an amendment. No. I would like to amend section A, capital letter A, C, small c, to read, from Pleasant Hill Road to the southerly side of Dorado Lane, instead of Wildwood Lane. And if you look at the map there, you can see, you can't see the whole length of this, but Wildwood is really very close to Camp Ketcher. And Dorado gives a little bit more space for parking on Spurwink. And I don't think that really relates at all to the beach.
That is Dorado.
Right here?
Yep.
This is Dorado here?
I see people parking on Spurwink quite often to do wildflowering, birding, and all kinds of things like that, that don't directly impact the beach at all. And parking, I don't see that that is a hindrance or a danger to.
Is this Ocean here?
Yes.
Right.
Ocean is here,
Correct,
and
correct,
Dorado is here.
correct.
The concern of the folks was that, much like Acorn Lane became the overflow, that potentially this could become the overflow. And
What I'm saying is southerly side
I don't know my north from south.
on Spurwink, so it would be to the left. In other words,
This way.
right, from that side of Dorado up would be no parking.
This is Wildwood here, right?
Yeah, no, Wildwood is way down
Oh,
there,
it's
Judy.
way down here, okay.
And if you went further on that map, you would see that Black Point Road is not that far from there.
Yeah, it's.
It's
Camp
cutting
Ketchum,
off
like
too
right
much of Spurwink, is my argument, to no parking.
And somewhere right along, what, about here? Somewhere in here is that pull-off area? Is that correct?
What's the
No,
pull-off area?
no, it's on the other side of Piper Road.
Oh, it's on the other side of Piper Road, so it's way
Yes.
up, okay.
So that's my amendment.
Discussion.
Instead of blocking so much of Spurwink down to Wildwood, we only going to prohibit parking to Dorado.
Counselor Wood.
Yes,
I gotta have a second, though, I think.
Oh, you
I
didn't get
second
one?
it.
Oh, you did, okay.
All right, through the chair, Madam Councilor Renko, could you just illustrate again? I see Dorado, and then how far
Okay, right,
east are we going?
right now it reads from Pleasant Hill Road to the southerly side of Wildwood. My amendment is Pleasant Hill Road to the southerly side of Dorado.
I see, okay.
Here
Drive.
instead of here.
Correct.
All right. And a question to Madam Chair, during the ad hoc committee, you discussed Route 77 Spurwink, and it was the committee's concern that Dorado might become our next Acorn, if
Yes.
you will. So this still includes Acorn. I mean, I'm sorry, Dorado still is included in the no parking area.
Well, this doesn't really say that. This just says Spurwink
Oh,
Road to
it
begin
doesn't.
with.
So before, we didn't even have, you were concerned about it, but you didn't act on it
No.
as a committee? Okay,
No.
all right.
But the committee was concerned that it would become the next Acorn Lane, because they could walk down Piper Road and take the path and go to the beach this way, too. Yeah,
I see.
because there
Yeah.
is a walking path off from Piper Road that goes directly down to
And,
the beach.
and I guess my argument would be that until there's a problem, I don't see why we need to govern for it. Letting people park on Spurwink to do birding or wildflowering and that kind of thing, which I see people doing all the time, it should not be prohibited because we're concerned about a potential problem that we can deal with when it happens.
I'm
Councilor
gonna-
Holbrook, and then Councilor DeAndrea.
I just had a,
I guess I'm
and,
finished.
and I'm, will greatly apologize, because I apparently was remiss in noticing this, but these two portions, C and D, were very recently, and I say that loosely, amended, but in '02 and '04, and I guess my question is to what purpose? Because this would have happened after the last, or the previous ad hoc committee, so what was the purpose of the amendment? I mean, it was very recently looked at and worded the way it is, so was there
Because
some
there was-
driving force
There
behind
was
that?
people parking. There was people parking along Spurwink, and they were walking to Higgins Beach.
Beyond that, it did provide for parking needs for the Higgins Beach Market, I believe the name is. Is it the store at the end of Ocean
At
Avenue,
the-
right on Spurwink?
yeah, the little-
So there is a section of 15-minute parking there carved out.
Councilor DeAndrea.
I thought we couldn't, well, first of all, it seems to me I heard somewhere that we can't change the speed limit on 77 or put crosswalks because it's a state-run road. So how can we control parking on a state-run road?
Control it all over town. I don't believe it's true that we can't put crosswalks or speed limits, but there's certain warrants that need to be met to do so.
That's what I was curious about. I mean, this is what I heard, that's why I'm trying to reach some clarification on
No,
that.
and we've regulated it, the parking along Pleasant Hill before without objection from the state.
I don't support this. I don't support restricting any further parking on Spurwink.
Well, you mean you wouldn't support Wildwood either?
I'm confused.
This is less restrictive than going to Wildwood.
No, I don't support the current.
You
You're-
want to
You're
allow
talking about
parking?
your amendment?
Amendment,
I'm just
yeah.
trying to get some clarification, if that's okay through the chair. No, you're just talking about your amendment.
Right.
Right, I'm talking about the original amendment.
Okay.
I think that that's far too restrictive, and I think your amendment doesn't go far enough.
Okay, gotcha.
So you support Carol's amendment?
She'd like it to go
But you'd
further.
like it
though.
I'd like it to go further,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you. Councilor Wood, do you have your hand up?
I did, thank you, and thank you for that clarification. You know, I'm just having a hard time wrapping myself, I am concerned now that you pointed it out, Madam Chair, about the possibility of parking on Dorado and then what apparently seems to be a much easy access to the Higgins Beach area than what I always thought was amazing, that folks would park at the far end of Acorn and walk to the beach, so.
But you drive in Piper Shores Road, and then on this side of it, there is that walking path.
Yes,
Goes
yes,
straight
so I do
down.
believe that there is reasonable expectation can be made that Dorado would become the next Acorn. So therefore, I don't support the amendment, prefer to leave it as it is.
And so you're not worried that eventually Wildwood won't become the next Acorn?
I think there is a point where folks will, say it's too far to walk. and maybe we need to find that point, but.
So you're supporting Carol's
No.
motion?
No, she's not. He's not. I mean, sorry. You called her madam, I'll go.
Ah.
That's right.
At midnight, he turns into a princess.
It might be worse than that. All set with food.
Okay, so the motion on the floor is from the Pleasant Hill side, continuing to the southerly side of Dorado Drive.
Yeah, Dorado Drive, yeah.
All those in favor?
What the heck?
Opposed? Okay, passes.
Not gonna win it.
Any other amendments? Council Hobart.
It's a very loose amendment because I'm hoping for discussion on it. I would like to add to, in section A, on the Acorn Lane shall be included, instead of it reading the way it does, I'm just throwing a side out there, that parking would be allowed on the easterly side of Acorn Lane.
Is that in form of a motion?
That would be in a form of a motion.
Is there a second?
For
I'll second.
discussion?
I'll second it for discussion.
Okay, discussion.
The reason I'm bringing this up is because of something that, the little forgotten thing, if you will, is we've eliminated all parking, and the way it reads now, there wouldn't be any parking over there. And this goes back to something I originally was brought to our attention, is the clammers. And there is a problem with the access of the clam flats. And I'm willing to, when this comes back in a year, that this would give us that year to try to find a better solution. That something has to be preserved for those guys, because right now there's no place to park for them.
Am I not correct in what I heard about the clamming was that what was important was the dates between, at that time, October and April?
Exactly.
That those were the times when there was concern about the need to park in order to access the clam flats, because they could no longer access it via the Rachel Carson. So, you know, I could support it, provided that it had some dates attached to it.
Which is, I just wanted it on the floor to be talked about.
Put dates to it, man.
Is it?
Council Wood.
Appreciate Council Holbrook bringing forth this amendment for discussion, but I'm hesitant to support it. I think that we're likely to hear an amendment to 103 that will encompass dates that would allow for parking on Acorn within the period of concern. Because,
Is that gonna come from you?
yeah, I'd be pleased to make that amendment in the future, in the near future. But our previous act on 104 talked about dates of September 15th to May 1, and I'd like to,
Where it was allowed.
I'd like to have this reflect that also. So at the end of the day, Acorn you would be allowed to park on Acorn in what we're calling the off-season.
How can you say, I'll wait till you make your amendment.
So Council Holbrook's amendment is parking that be allowed on the easterly side of Acorn, period. Year round. That's what you're saying. Okay. Council DeAndrea.
I can support that as is, for that reason, whether it falls in those dates or not, but for another reason, and that is, we've practically in a single night, gotten rid of pretty much most, if not all, summer parking, and winter parking for that matter. Again, Chief Moulton has indicated that, that street is plenty wide to accommodate, parking on one side. So I would support, having parking on one side of Acorn Lane,
Year round.
year-round, yes.
Other comments?
I support the dates that the clamorers wanted to be able to do it. There was a certain period of time we talked about it, Richard Sullivan's talked about it. Yeah, well, Rich has talked about that many times, so, to me anyway, so.
I think it was December to May.
It was December 9th, so that period of time I would support.
Council Holbrook, would you like to restate your motion with some dates?
In the interest of getting it passed, I would like to alter it for the dates of,
September
September
1
15th to
May 1st.
May
No, September 15th.
Yeah.
I think it's September
So
15th.
the proposed amendment is that parking be allowed on the easterly side of Acon from the dates of September 15th to April 1st. Or April 20, actually March
Was May.
31st.
March 31st.
Yeah.
thought we did it to May.
Oh, it is
May.
May.
April
April
30th.
30th.
Till April 30th, I'm sorry.
We'll get it right.
Okay. So, and I second it, so I will agree with that. So the motion that's on the floor currently is that parking would be allowed on the easterly side of Acon from the dates of September 15th until April
Right.
30th. Further discussion? Counselor Wood.
The dates that we're talking about is what we've commonly referred to as the off-season.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm a little hesitant to, I mean, why the easterly side?
I just threw one out.
Okay. My sense is that the Acorn Lane residents are concerned about the on-season, the summer overflow at Higgins.
It's not allowed. That's the motion.
The motion isn't allowing that.
Motion saying just
Off-season.
Just the
just
off.
off-season.
More limiting than what you were prepared to offer.
Yes. So the motion, we're talking about limiting parking in the off-season on Acorn to just the easterly side of the street of Acorn. What exists today, or absent of this motion, what exists now, is no parking on Acorn and between certain dates,
No, year-round.
year-round. All right, and we certainly want to move from that. My sense is that the Acorn Lane residents are more concerned about the summer parking overflow from Higgins. And in the off-season, I don't think there really is a concern. Either it's the east or west side of the street, so I'm thinking, we're being a little overly restrictive, but
Do you suggest opening up both sides? Is that what you're talking about?
the off-season?
Yeah.
Yeah, the evidence suggests to me strongly that the residents would support that or would not be opposed to it.
But the main motion as it sits, it allows, it's taking any parking off from Acorn Lane year-round, because that's what we just voted in for Higgins Beach.
I know that, and I was prepared to make a motion to introduce dates, but I just didn't, that east component,
I've been more than happy to throw the east component and just
is,
Acorn Lane.
I mean, I just, well, now we're really unintentionally, certainly, but what we're doing is we're potentially inconveniencing one side of the neighborhood.
Well, what if
Yeah.
we did this, Mike?
So for that reason, I can't support
Well,
the
but
part of the amendment
Well,
that speaks to
who
the
made the
east side.
but you're okay with either side of the street?
I'm okay with either side.
Well,
So if you just said on one side of Acorn, does it matter east or west, or you want to see parking on both sides?
I think parking on both sides of Acorn
For that
during the
period of time.
off-season period is not an issue.
Are you willing to withdraw your motion?
I'm willing to withdraw my.
Or how about I make a motion that says,
I just
Karen
have
has
something
a
to
question.
add to the
Go ahead.
discussion, I think, before we withdraw the motion, and that is to say that, Chief Moulton had said that that street doesn't support parking on both sides, that it makes it too narrow for emergency equipment to get through. So I think we do have to limit it to one side.
Council Wood?
Well, I apologize. If that in fact is true, and I have no doubt that Constance DeAndrea is quoting Chief Moulton accurately, it just conflicts with the other discussion we've had tonight, because if I believe Acorn Lane is built to town standards, and I'll make a risky statement here. I believe that street's 24 feet wide. So if that street's 24 feet wide, and he can't accommodate parking on both sides, then I don't know, I just, a lot of the discussion we've been having tonight is in conflict with that as we bring that discussion into some of the streets we talked about in Higgins, so.
Counselor Alquist.
So if we think that only one side of the street can accommodate parking, why don't we leave that up to the police department or the powers to be to figure out which side is better instead of us discussing it here at this late hour?
I mean, that,
All I suggest.
Chief Moulton might not like you for that.
Yeah, you know, yeah, but it's not about my feelings with the chief, really. Not at 10 o'clock, 8 o'clock tomorrow will be.
Counselor Wood.
I don't know that we have to be specific to a side. If we just have a, what we're talking about here is amending the Higgins Beach ordinance and including Acorn Lane in it. Now, we don't have to go as far as to say parking's only allowed on one side. We're just, I mean, I don't know of any other streets in town that allow on-street parking that were specific to what side. The only time you'd see that is if you saw a sign, parking this side only. And I think we'd all struggle to come up with an example of that. So I don't
My
really
street.
I don't think we have to go that far. Willowdale says parking this side only?
I have parking on one side only on Willowdale.
Okay.
Okay, somebody else want to make a motion, or are we going to let it stand like this?
I would make, well,
I don't mind making a motion that we allow it on one side, to be determined
Between
later.
the dates of
Between the dates that we talked
September
about.
15th and April 30th.
Right.
Anybody want to second that?
I'll second.
Okay, further discussion?
All right, the dates, question. So the dates are September 15 to May 1.
Well, like April 30th, because as of May 1.
All right, I was just thinking,
Yep.
consistent with the other one, right?
Yep.
And parking on Acorn between May 1 or September 14 is not allowed. And then
no, what,
off-season, it's allowed, but on one side only. That's what's in front of us right now.
Right.
but wouldn't, because, I guess my issue here is, what we have now is Acorn Lane shall be included with the parking requirements for the majority of Higgins Beach. I think there is where we should say from September 15th, from May 1st through September 15th, because that's when we're requiring we would be saying no parking there. The rest would be open. Isn't that what you're saying, Mike?
Allow us to wordsmith it, I think we can capture
Yeah,
it.
Well,
as
that's-
long as you-
I
Yeah.
think that's the idea.
Yeah, the idea is that,
With all due respect, though, who is to choose which side of the street? I think it ought to be the council directed as to who gets the pleasure of cars parked.
I'm thinking we let you do it, Tom, then if it goes bad, then
That's,
we don't look bad.
I saw it coming. That's
Yeah,
why-
you did see that coming, huh? Well, I just don't feel comfortable at this hour just picking a side of the street. I mean, we could come back here next meeting with an amendment to change it to the other side because we hear from town officials,
Or that both sides it's adequate to have both sides open.
okay, we have Counselor Alquist's motion on the floor.
What, could I get a
Wood.
clarification?
His motion is that parking be allowed on one side of Acorn Lane from the dates of September 15th to April 30th.
Okay.
Correct?
All right.
And who seconded it? Jessica did.
Now we're gonna vote.
Okay, we're gonna vote now?
Well, you
Okay.
can tell
So
me.
we're gonna leave the question about what side for
Right, another day.
another decision maker.
Right.
I might suggest that maybe the left would be for years that end in an odd number, and the right side for years that end in the even.
We'll take your information into consideration.
Thank you.
Tom, if it will make you easier, perhaps this should come back to ordinance committee.
Go for it.
I could flip
Not
a
that I'm
coin.
looking for more work.
Without the luxury of researching this, I believe what Councilor Woods represents is an accurate statement. I believe this road was built to town specifications. All indications are it can support parking on both sides of the street.
And let's be realistic about it, there would not probably be more than 2 or 3 diggers at any given time. I mean,
I
it's,
think it's an excellent
Do you
point.
know that? I mean, I don't know that.
I don't know
practically
that for a
speaking,
fact, but I mean, how many full-time licensed diggers do we have?
More than 2 or 3.
Commercial diggers, there's probably about 28.
There's only 28 commercial diggers.
And you have another 200 and
I'm
some
pretty
that
safe
are
in saying that practically speaking, you're making much of what I expect is the non-issue.
I'll vote on the motion and then we can trash it, do something else.
All in favor of the motion as presented by Councilor Aldquist? Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. Now, the main motion, are there any other amendments that anybody would like to offer? The only other one we haven't done anything with is the 5-minute drop-off. And that, again, that 5 minutes is liberal, certainly. It may take 8 minutes for some people. Okay. All those in favor of the main motion as amended? Opposed? Thank you. Before we move on to the next, it is 10:08. Can I have a motion to extend so that Dan Bacon can at least present these items? They are first reading, they are going to go to planning board, so there is no major action that we need to take tonight. Pleasure of the council.
Madam Chair? Is it your intention to hear 11-1 and 11-2 and then end the meeting at that point?
Let me ask, Mr. Bacon, is there need for this to be on the docket?
Urgency.
Time-wise, do you,
Neither of the two zoning packages, there's 11-1 and 2 are the same initiative, and 11, 3, and 4 together are the same initiative. Neither are time-sensitive.
we've kept you up this late, however.
It is expected to accomplish first reading this evening.
Yeah. I know that that's the expectation.
Good.
I don't mind doing the presentation tonight so that Dan doesn't have to come back another time, although he probably will anyway. But I heard the testimony about not all neighbors hearing, so by not actually taking any action tonight, we'd give it time for CPIC maybe to meet with those other neighbors, and it might be helpful.
Even
So-
if we took the first reading, I mean, it's still gotta go to planning board and its public hearing, it's gotta come back to us and go to public hearing, and, so there's ample opportunity for folks to,
You'd have to take some kind of action.
yeah, we'd have to, yeah, because it's an action item, so we have to take some kind of. Could, Councilor DeAndrea?
Could the action be to table until the next meeting, which would, again, give time for CPIC to organize another neighborhood meeting? I guess I heard Mr. Bacon say that this was not time-sensitive.
The tabling motion's always in order. Whether we can accomplish that in 2-week turnaround, I can't say. It's with coordination of people.
Right,
Notice to residents.
but it's maybe worth a try.
So should I make the motion now? So motion to table,
I need a motion to suspend the rules to add an item. to add
Not
the-
to table.
No, we don't?
But we're just tabling.
Okay. I think we-
Did you want Dan to make a presentation, or no?
I'm hearing that energy over here is no.
How long does that take? How long does that take,
To take up a new item.
Dan?
Oh. Well, that's what I
Hour and
asked
15
for.
minutes?
Right.
No.
is Dan gonna need to come back and do the whole presentation basically again when we have a first reading if we table this?
For the public purpose, yes.
I would plan on doing a presentation at first reading.
So he's gonna have to come back anyway.
Not a big deal after that.
Sorry, Dan.
So-
Nothing
Well,
personal, you know.
My brain's.
It is?
Yes.
What?
I'm usually the first one ready to go, but in fact, he is here, and if it's gonna take 5 to 10 minutes, I think we ought to extend the courtesy to get this out of the way. But maybe that's just me.
Do we have to have the question before us for the presentation, Tom?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay, so let's hear the presentation and then.
All right, I need
vote.
a motion to extend the
Move the order,
time.
he can make a presentation before you go.
Okay.
And I need a motion to extend the time, because our rules say nothing beyond, no new items beyond 10. So, could I have a motion?
Make a motion to suspend the rules and continue with business.
Counselor Holbrook has something.
Second?
I'm sorry, what? was the motion?
Just to suspend the rules and continue with,
For just
Yeah,
the
definitely.
presentation?
He didn't say that.
he didn't say that, but
Oh.
it's all right.
He said everything's on. You can save it.
All those in favor of suspending the rules? Opposed? Okay.
Try to put it
Can I
different.
have a motion that we entertain only the presentation from Bacon,
Maybe.
and to move the first reading to the next meeting?
Okay, I go for that.
Can I have a second on that?
I'll second.
All those in favor? Carol. Go, Dan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll attempt to be brief because I'll be doing this again in a couple weeks.
Okay. Practice.
This is brought to you from the Comprehensive Plan Implementation Committee, and it applies to the Black Point Neighborhood Center, which, as a matter of quick background, the comp plan calls for essentially a small commercial mixed-use area at the intersection of Black Point Road and Highland Avenue. That'd be a relatively small service area for the surrounding neighborhood and commuters that pass through on Black Point Road and Highland Avenue. That the zoning allow for mixed use, so small commercial as well as a range of residential uses. That development continued to be smaller scale and a sort of a village character, village development pattern as it exists today in this hamlet, and that the zoning really continued to maintain and increase the identity of this crossroads that exists in Scarborough. This is the area on the map that I'm referring to. It's the intersection of Black Point Road and Highland Avenue, right near the railroad tracks that serve the Downeaster. There's already the makings of a small village center. It's really a historical village center. There's St. Max Church, the Congregational Church, some small-scale commercial uses, the hair salon, preschool, the town, Black Point Park, among other activities, including a number of single-family homes. The current zoning here is in pink, the Business 1 zone, which is a local business district. Right now it parallels the railroad tracks where the old town garage was located. It also includes the Black Point Auto Repair, the business next door, as well as some properties along Highland Avenue. Other than that small business zone is the Resource Protection Zone along the Nonsuch River, the R2 zoning district, the residential zone that applies to the church properties and the surrounding properties, and then there's rural farming zoning on the periphery of this neighborhood center. The Comprehensive Plan Committee worked through analyzing the zoning districts in this area and felt that there were some inconsistencies between the comprehensive plan and the B1 zone, the local business district. The boundaries don't follow property lines. In most cases, they omit some of the current business use properties. And the B1 zone is a older zone in terms of development standards, so it doesn't include very specific standards in terms of development pattern. And there was a concern that sort of more conventional strip development could occur here if some of the properties were developed under the B1 standards. There was also some concern by the committee that the land uses allowed in the B1 didn't match up entirely consistently with the comprehensive plan. So in light of that, the committee is recommending the TVC3 district for what the comp plan recommends as the core of the neighborhood center. The TVC3 district is Town and Village Center district. It allows small-scale commercial and a range of residential uses. As a component to that, the committee is recommending the RP district on the former town property that abuts closely to the marsh, that's very close to the natural resources, as opposed to a commercial zone. Right now, it's owned by IF&W, and we haven't heard any objection they would have to that designation. The TVC3, like I mentioned, is a mixed-use zone, permits small-scale commercial uses, generally limits those uses to 5,000 square feet, which is consistent with the plan, limits building footprints to 10,000 square feet. It specifically has some limitations on retail and drive-through restaurants that the committee felt strongly about, given the desire to limit uses that generate a lot of traffic, particularly in this location. The Black Point Highland Avenue intersection is complex, and it's a heavy commuter route and travel corridor, so not allowing those uses and limiting retail can inhibit traffic generating uses. The committee also is recommending not to allow motels and hotels in this location, given its small lots and character, but is recommending that bed and breakfast be allowed, given the structures that exist here. The zone also permits a range of residential uses, single-family, two-family, multiplex, and allows what the comp plan considers medium residential density, which is 5 units per acre, and also allows density bonuses for affordable housing and development transfer, which is recommended by the comprehensive plan. The TVC3, unlike the B1, has some specific standards in terms of how buildings and parking are situated on lots, so that it's in more of a village style or compact development style, which the committee felt was consistent with the desire for this location. As I mentioned, coupled with the TVC3, the RP is recommended along the marsh. In terms of public process to date, the committee did invite property owners within the rezoned area to a neighborhood meeting and receive some feedback. As Councilor Raincourt mentioned, there was concerns that a wider range of property owners hadn't had the privilege of a presentation, so I think CPIC will certainly consider that, and given this scenario with tonight's meeting and upcoming meetings, we can try to organize a meeting to get more feedback and have an opportunity to present to the larger group. But at that initial meeting in October, we did conduct with the directly affected property owners. One concern was the limitation on retail square footage, given that the B1 does not include that limitation of 1,000 square feet. And the committee discussed that at length, took the concern seriously, but in this particular location, felt that that limitation is appropriate given the potential impacts of larger retail spaces in this area. There was another request by a property owner in this area to rezone half of their property to TVC3, and that's at 162 Black Point Road, property right next to Black Point Park. The committee took that request very seriously as well, and worked with the property owner on the scenario to rezone half the property to allow them to potentially pursue a retail use at that property, but to not rezone the full 2 acres TVC3 to, again, limit the scale and intensity of what could occur on the property. So that's a quick overview. It's order 11.1 is the actual map amendment. That's TBC 3 and the RP changes. And Order 11.2 are some relatively subtle adjustments to the TBC 3 to tailor it for this location. So, thank you for the opportunity to present, and I'll be back in weeks.
Can I ask Dan one quick question? Sure. Dan, the CPIC process, the neighborhood meeting process, has been mostly regarded as highly successful, and that's not just by CPIC members. I mean, that wouldn't be fair, but from the neighborhood meeting, the citizens. This approach here, did it deviate at all from the process that we've used in the past?
No, we've been consistent in terms of notifying property owners that are directly affected by the zoning changes that the committee's recommending out of committee, and it's been successful.
I certainly understand and recognize that there can be others can certainly make a strong argument that they're also affected, because of their proximity to, the proposed boundaries. So I look forward to inviting a wider audience, certainly. And I look forward to the discussion that come from that, because it, oversimplistically, certainly, but in my view, and the feedback that I've gotten from citizens through the many years of discussing zone changes, whenever we're moving from B1 to something else, there's been almost a standing ovation, because B1 is our most liberal zone, and can allow for things that most folks anyway, would have a real hard time living next to. So I think we're on the right, the right direction, certainly, in this neighborhood. But hopefully the citizens that are invited to this meeting have some substantive comments and feedback that can improve, what might be before us beyond, not feeling invited, because that certainly is not the intent of CPIC, because we've only been successful by the input from the citizens that we've invited to these meetings. So look forward to that wisdom that will come from that.
Thank you, Dan.
Sure.
No non-action items. Standing committees, special committee reports.
Finance Committee, we've met, and we've put a proposed schedule together of when we're gonna meet and how we're gonna get going and when we're gonna get going, and you all have a copy of that, so we're all, hopefully, take some of this energy from the beach and put it towards the budget. That's the game plan, and so we're ready to do that. The Appointments Committee, we met tonight, and we passed out to you the list of names that we are posting tonight, and that'll be on your agenda for the next meeting to be voted on. And the,
Do you want me to read those?
we all have them, so we can just put it into the record.
Do you want to let the public know, though?
Yeah, well, I was hoping we could post it before our next meeting, and which ones we had
Okay.
vacancies
Jody says
for.
we can post it on.
Yeah.
Great.
Carol, the idea, thinking here, is maybe we can put the vacancies up there too, and people could see those.
Okay, well, you
Be
had just
helpful.
asked me to read it, so I didn't want
Yeah,
to do
I
my
did,
job.
but you know what, it got past 10.
Time is late.
And the last one, tomorrow I have an Eco-Maine meeting at 4 o'clock. So that's it for me.
Thank you, Council Hover.
Well, as you know, we just talked tonight and passed the resolution for the block grant, so hopefully we'll have some more interesting things coming along the way for Housing Alliance. They'll be meeting again, first Thursday of the month. Sorry, I don't have the date in front of me. I do have two committees that I'm participating in for the Wentworth. We met earlier this evening for that. I have site as well as district-wide. District-wide is still currently working on having meetings with the various departments that would have interest in those district-wide services. We recently met with food services. We have community service coming up, I believe. K through 12 testing. Site is still meeting. They meet on it's next Monday during our breakout session.
Say the first Tuesday?
First Thursday of the
First Thursday of the month is the 3rd. Counselor DeAndrew?
Met with the, Conservation Commission last week. We had a great discussion about the, proposed, pesticide restrictions that the ordinance committee is working on, and, the Conservation Commission was asked to give a opinion about. That discussion is still ongoing, and, they are in the midst of rescheduling a talk about sea level rise, which was canceled because of the storm last night.
Slog.
No, this is just something that the Conservation Commission is doing.
Counselor Ranko?
Yes, I have a report. I also attended the Wentworth meeting today, and I am one of the members of that committee. And the ordinance committee will be meeting next Tuesday at 4:30, and then we have 3 items on our agenda, for discussion only. One is pesticides, use of pesticides on town property. One is historical preservation ordinances, and the third one is,
Smoking, or tobacco on the beach.
oh yeah, tobacco
Restrictions.
banning on the beaches. Thank you.
Counselor Wood?
Thank you. We met this morning, the Public Information Committee, a subcommittee of the Wentworth Building Committee, of which I am on. I also attended this evening at 6 p.m. the Wentworth Building Committee's presentation to the Town Council. All's going well. Looking forward to continued work in this very, very important endeavor, and looking forward to enthusiasm being generated around the project as it matures, as the discussion matures. Other than that, let's see, Library Board of Trustees meets tomorrow, and they're doing a recruit, they call it, on Saturday between the hours of 9 and noon for trustee members, and I'm hoping to attend that on Saturday. That is all. Oh, and I met with Ron earlier this week for Finance Committee, so we've started that discussion. So looking forward to that as well. Thank you.
I have 2 meetings coming up. One at 8:15 tomorrow morning is the Senior WOW Advisory Committee meeting, and at 7 p.m. tomorrow evening is the Energy Committee meeting. Managers report.
Very quickly, at your places this evening, I did provide a copy of a newsletter called the Electricity Guide. This was a publication sent directly to the town from the Public Advocate's Office, and I suppose they single us out since they have noticed that Scarborough has been a leader regarding the smart meter issue, and I believe this entire issue is devoted to the issue of smart meters. Copies of this, again, are available to you this evening, and I do have a few I'll make available to the public as well. Also, you'll see there's a CD at your places this evening. I will warn you.
A what?
A CD.
Oh, yes.
Yeah?
It's very long.
It's 864 pages long. It's the Emergency Operations Manual that is time for an update, and it is required to be adopted by council, so we would be remiss to ask you to adopt something that you haven't had the opportunity to review. I will assure you, and Chief Thurl will speak to it at your next meeting when we ask for your approval. It's really just updated in terms of names and contact information. The substance has not changed from its last version. And lastly, as was mentioned, please take note at your places. We do have a more than tentative, I'll say, adoption schedule for the budget that includes Finance Committee's involvement. And finally, just to remind you all, I did send an email out on Friday, but there are some upcoming meetings. We've done our best to combine them with your regular meetings. So quickly, next meeting, that's February 2nd. We'll be meeting at 6 p.m. prior to your 7 o'clock meeting. This is to receive an update for the Sea Level Adaptation Working Group. The following meeting on the 16th, we'll have the presentation from the auditors. They'll present the audit from last year. And then the following evening, working through and with the Energy Committee, we are testing the waters, if you will, to consider a tri-community, and this would be South Portland, Scarborough, and Cape Elizabeth, regarding purchasing wholesale power, something for our own use and to offer to our residents and businesses as well. Change of venue, it looks like we're going to be hosting that evening, so that's a Thursday, February 17th at 6:30, and I'll send out more information, but I want to make sure you got those on your calendar. Thank you.
Council comments? Karen?
Eliza Boxer Cook is making a presentation to the Buxton Select Persons this evening about the smart meters, so that process is still moving along, and I am an intervener now, so I'll be getting direct information about what's happening with the currently opened complaints. And as usual, there are gun trigger locks for free for Scarborough residents at the Scarborough Police Department, which is open 24 hours a day.
Council Rancourt?
I just want to say, I appreciate all the people who came out tonight, and I want to say that given the tenor of lots of things that are going on in our country, I want to compliment all of my colleagues on the council for having such a collegial discussion and making really good efforts at compromise. I appreciate all of you. Thank you.
Ditto.
That it?
That's it.
Council Alpers?
Ditto, ditto.
Council Hobart?
I'll be nice, never mind. Good evening.
I just wanted to make a few comments, just because Mike didn't speak. And hopefully they won't cut it off before I finish, which they did at the last meeting.
You didn't take the hit.
But I would really like to say a big thank you to the ad hoc committee that worked on the Higgins Beach. They really worked hard on the most tenuous issues, i.e. the parking on Bayview. The vote came down to 4-3, so it wasn't a clear-cut decision even at an ad hoc committee level. And I think that, again, I concur with Councilor Rancourt that we were able to come to some good compromises that we can look at and collect data on, and we can make adjustments. I would want to make sure, again, that Tody has it in the records, that the minutes do reflect a commitment to revisit this whole issue by December of 2011. Some of the other things that certainly we talked about, but in talking with the manager, just so that all people hear it, is one, the installation of a webcam for surveillance, or some type of surveillance camera that we do intend to put in, so that we can collect some data, and it can be an adjunct for the police department, you know, when they see things that look a little suspicious, they can head on down. Certainly, the other thing is education to the public, and we want to install an information kiosk for posting information for the public. And the second part of the education, the chief did offer the use of the VIP to help us collect some data, but I think we can also ask them to help us educate the public by providing them a list of do's and don'ts when you're at the beach. Just general rules for all people, so that, you know, people do use the beach in a manner that provides for the quality of life for themselves and for those that reside there. And then the last thing was adjunct was Mike Shaw at Public Works is already working on a design, has drawn the design for a bike board rack in that drop-off area, which will assist the surfers to leave their boards and go park in the lot, and hopefully eliminate some of those other things. So all in all, I think what came out of it was good. I think, you know, it is experimental, certainly. I don't think it's going to be a great burden on the folks down there, and I think it's an orderly parking scenario, and I think it can work. And I too, like Council DeAndrew, would like again to look further out. I mean, if it works well, maybe there are other streets where we could allow some parking, but you know, the answer for the parking lot's not the total answer. 62 spots and even adding 22 may not be as we grow as a community. But then again, there are other things happening, i.e. the Scarborough Beach, so I think those are all important. So with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.